Good morning. If we can have everyone to start taking their seats, please. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, and it is 9 a.m. We will call this meeting to order. We will begin with the invocation by Pastor Terry Wright from Grace Fellowship, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Newbold. Please silence your phones and stand if you're able to do so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to be together. Lord, thank you for a land that is free, a country that is free. Father, thank you that we can assemble together and express our ideas and disagree in a civil manner and agree with celebration. And Father, thank you for the men and women who truly selflessly serve. They put themselves out there every day to serve on our behalf. So Father, we pray that you would bless each of them, bless their families. Lord, bless Mr. Suggs and all the team at the county. Father, be with them and give them good health and good safety. And now, Father, I pray that you would bless these deliberations today. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just anybody who's going to be wishing to speak publicly, there are some speaker cards in the back. If you'll fill those out and turn them in to Miss Ashley, I would just ask that you put your subject matter on it so that she can make sure that we present it at the correct time. Going into the meeting, the approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the meeting, July 28, 2026, the minutes.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We do have a couple presentations this morning before we move into public hearing items. Ms. Parker from Human Resources has Employee of the Month and for May and June.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We received multiple nominations for Employee of the Month. And for Employee of the Month for May, we're recognizing Brian Wiggs from Parks and Recreation. Thank you.
I just want to say I'm very proud of Brian. I've only been with the county for coming up on a year, but he has been there every single day, just ready to get it done. So I'm very proud of Brian, and I'm very grateful that he got this.
Thank you.
Come on up for a picture. Harry, thank you.
Okay. So we just have.
Congratulations. Brian, we know you love being the center of attention. Weeks is Brian related to?
Morgan Wiggs. Morgan Wiggs played baseball for me, played with my son Tucker.
All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. And again. All right.
In addition to Brian, we are also recognizing Employee of the Month for June 2026, and that is awarded to Angela Masteller from Sanitation. There you go.
You want to get up here and talk? Say she's stepping up to the mic. First and foremost, we're just grateful for Miss Angie to get recognized for this. It's well deserved. A lot of people don't realize all the different things that go on in the sanitation department. When your trash is picked up, that's only the beginning. And so Miss Angie is responsible for many different things, but mostly making sure that the tickets and everything match up and dealing with the customers and the haulers on our side. But beyond that, she's also willing to step in anytime we ever need her in the scale house or out at one of our off sites to help fill in and kind of fill in the cracks to make sure the operation goes forward. So for that, we're very grateful. This is very deserved, and thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. Come on.
Next up, we have the presentation for SMA Healthcare, if anyone would like to come forward with that organization. Good morning, gentlemen. Proclamation number 2026-056, International Overdose and Awareness Day. Whereas overdose continues to affect individuals, families, and communities across the United States, including Putnam, causing immeasurable loss. And whereas International Overdose Awareness Day is observed annually on August 31st to raise awareness, reduce stigma, honor those lost to overdose, and support those affected. And whereas for 25 years, International Overdose Awareness Day has united communities worldwide to promote overdose prevention, treatment, recovery, and education. And whereas the 2026 theme, 25 years on, still needed, recognizes that despite progress, overdose remains a critical public health issue. And whereas through education, naloxone, treatment, recovery support, and community collaboration, lives can be saved and hope can be restored. And whereas the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners recognizes the efforts of healthcare providers, first responders, recovery advocates, community organizations, family and individuals in recovery who support those affected by substance use disorders. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners hereby designates August 31st, 2026 as International Overdose Awareness Day in Putnam County and encourages residents to honor those lost, support those affected, reduce stigma, promote recovery, and help prevent overdose deaths. Be it therefore proclaimed that the residents and community partners are encouraged to participate in the Putnam County observance on August 31st, 2026 in recognition of the theme, 25 years on, still needed. Done, ordered, and adopted this 25th day of August 2026. I move this proclamation.
Second, Madam Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you.
We are going to be having an event on Monday, August 31st, starting at 5 p.m. with a resource fair at the Westminster Hall, followed by a memorial event ceremony at 6 p.m. And if weather permitting, after that is done, we'll be walking the bridge in honor of those lost. So we invite everybody to come out.
And the public, everybody.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
You didn't get your purple ribbon either, did you?
Thank you for that. Next up, we have Heart of Putnam for the Residential Initiative for Stability and Employment. Good morning. I know this is in our packet, but is there something that's supposed to be on the screen as well? It will. Okay, we'll just make sure we're getting it.
Follow my script so I don't leave out anything.
Miss Yvette, are you the teleprompter? You're the,
Yeah.
okay, there we go. All right.
RISE is all about building a better Putnam by addressing critical issues of stability and employment within our community. At its heart, RISE aims to create sustainability and meaningful change for residents. Next. Let's see. Go back to introduction. Okay. Welcome to the heart of our initiative, the Residential Initiative for Stability and Employment, or RISE. RISE is a comprehensive, phased approach specifically designed to tackle homelessness right here in Putnam County. Our aim is to enhance system access, streamline service coordination, and pave a clearer path to both housing and employment for those in need. Our mission statement is to transform the fragmented crisis response into a coordinated system that advances housing stability, employment, and long-term economic mobility. Grace Marketplace plays a significant role in our outreach efforts, as we currently lack a dedicated outreach team in Putnam focused on homelessness, and unfortunately, through the last grant cycle, the outreach in Putnam County is limited to PATH instead of outreach. PATH deals with alcohol and mental health, because of this, it limits our interactions with the homelessness where they stay. In the past, Grace Marketplace provided assistance to 108 individuals who sought help through their various programs. Next slide. Heart of Putnam is dedicated to establishing a coordinated entry system for the homeless in Putnam County. We are currently developing a hub with the support of our volunteers and have assisted several homeless clients providing services such as gift cards, clothing vouchers, and food for 46 individuals. I made a correction there. Additionally, we have made numerous weekly referrals to our community partners. Each week, Heart of Putnam receives an average of 10 phone calls seeking assistance for homelessness prevention, eviction prevention, and utility support. Our solution supports individuals in need by addressing several critical areas. Basic needs: we distribute food, clothing, and essential supplies to ensure immediate survival for vulnerable populations. Education and skill development: we provide referrals to tutoring, after-school programs, and vocational training to empower individuals toward long-term self-sufficiency. Healthcare services: access to medical care, mental health services, and health screening is offered, particularly for underserved communities, ensuring both physical and mental wellness. Emergency housing and shelter: we provide a short-term and long-term housing solution for the homeless, offering stability and security for a better future. This comprehensive approach emphasizes the holistic support that we provide. The RISE Hub Daycare Center is a safe space for those experiencing homelessness to find services. We emphasize collaboration through warm handoffs to community partners, ensuring that the clients receive personalized support. The hub offers immediate access to various on-site services, including healthcare and education, tailored to individual needs. It represents a commitment to building a supportive community, serving as a place of hope and transformation. The RISE Overnight Shelter is a vital part of our support systems, operating from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. with intake starting at 5 p.m. It accommodates up to 25 individuals, featuring an overnight attendant and a security officer for safety. The shelter implements a curfew and offers access to wraparound services and referrals to the RISE Hub, fostering stability and trust while guiding individuals toward sustainability and independence. Our needs. To effectively tackle homelessness in Putnam County, a collaborative approach is very essential. This partnership aims to create sustainability solutions. Our key actions include advocating for the RISE initiative to raise awareness and support, welcoming donations, volunteers, and sponsorships for renovations and operations. Next one. To ensure RISE success and sustainability, we have created a strong partnership strategy. In January 2026, we launched the Putnam County Homeless Solutions Coalition to engage community organizations and individuals. Key areas of collaboration include mental health and substance dependency services for comprehensive client support, government and public sector partnerships to expand resources, basic needs resources partnerships for access to essential services, educational institutions for growth opportunities, and housing, employment training collaborations for stability and self-efficiency. Together, these partnerships form the foundation of our strategy to effectively address homelessness. The Heart of Putnam will use various funding sources, federal and state funds, grants, scholarships, sponsorships, and community fundraisers to ensure stable financial support. Phase one costs is $120,000 to $150,000 annually. Phase two with the overnight shelter, the cost $180,000 to $200,000 per year. Expected return on investment, $2 to $4 in public cost savings for every dollar spent, highlighting the initiative's economic and social benefits. As we conclude this presentation, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to your attention to the RISE initiative. Your support is vital for creating lasting change in the lives of those in need. Thank you for joining us with this journey. Together, we can make a significant impact.
Ms. Sheila, thank you for your presentation. If you'll just stay, I think we're going to have some questions. Commissioner Harvey, you're recognized.
Thank you. Ms. Sheila, thank you so much. You know, for years we've talked about homelessness in Putnam County. We've had other organizations come up here and tell us what they do, only to find out they're gathering numbers and going back to their area.
I know.
I know you know. You're in the trenches, and that's where it starts at. So anything we can do or I can do to help, you know, just let us know. I do want to ask a question, though. I've heard in some areas where they use vouchers for bus travel or train travel to get people back home where they really want to go. Is that an opportunity under your program?
Yes.
Okay.
We have returned people home. We call first to make sure they want them back.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they say yes, then yes.
Yeah, I don't want to send them off if they don't want to go home.
No.
You know.
We don't want to send them from here to go back homeless. But yes, we have to. We
Good.
do that
Thank you.
within our budget. You know.
I understand.
I have a couple questions. So when you say diversion, what does that mean? That means you've diverted them into like a transitional house or some kind of a housing? Your presentation said diversion. I'm not familiar with that word.
Yeah, I looked at that myself. Okay, please.
You have to come up to the mic because we're on a public meeting and it's got to be.
Yes, hi, I work with Grace Marketplace. I gave the numbers for Ms. Sheila from some of the presentation. Diversion refers to exactly what you're talking about. When we divert people from homelessness, we get them back to a living situation. If they came to Putnam County from out of state or out of city, we get them back to where they belong or where they would like to go. So.
And sometimes that means they're going over to Grace Marketplace.
At times, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then once they get to Grace, what is the plan there? Do they stay there, or is there a plan to put them in some kind of program?
Yes, so when they get to Grace Marketplace, which is a low barrier shelter, they get access to a bed, case manager, it's housing focused. So we work on getting them employment, income, benefits, anything that we can do to end their homelessness. And that is the focus, is ending their homelessness. When they get to Grace, they are able to access those services as well as day services, so basic needs, food, anything they need to sustain in the meantime. I will say that because the funding comes from the county and the city, so Alachua County and the city of Gainesville, there is a priority set for those residents of the city and the county. So often people from Putnam County that are coming in will be put on the back burner, and sometimes will not be able to get a bed as easy as, you know, folks that are from Alachua or from the city of Gainesville.
Well, I appreciate your honesty on that issue. However, Putnam County receives funding from the continuum of care. When I say that, it doesn't come to the county, but there's a continuum of care for the state, and that includes providing services to Putnam County residents, and Grace does get money from that continuum of care, right?
Yes, ma'am, and that pays for my salary.
And then that's it?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yeah.
The challenge that has been, and I know you guys know this because you're in the trenches, like Commissioner Harvey said, is the state's giving hundreds of thousands of dollars in different programs. But the program like Ms. Sheila isn't getting those. They're not getting those fundings.
I fully agree. I have noticed, obviously, as an outsider coming in and primarily, you know, only serving Putnam County, that Putnam is overlooked. They just are gathering counties and funding, and they're not providing services to those rural communities.
That's right, and it's been happening for years, and I wish I knew how to fix it. I truly wish I knew how to fix it.
I'm trying.
And I will say to this board that when we're in Tallahassee, one of the things we can do is have a serious conversation with our state representative and our state senator, and say when state money's coming in, because what they do is, and it's not just on the homeless situation, it's on many situations where they take it, they just say, oh, Putnam County, we're helping Putnam County, and then they show up and they put a flyer out, and they ended up getting $50,000 or $100,000. These other nonprofit organizations. So I could talk about that forever.
But may I add, please, Madam Chair?
Yes.
The competitive system that we're in with the COC, I don't think they understand the challenges that we have as a rural community.
I agree with that.
So if you can somehow address that aspect also.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. So you're looking, I saw in your presentation, you're saying that there is a need. This is what you can do. We don't really have a building that we could, there's not a building that Putnam owns that's just vacant sitting there that we could go, oh, this would make a great overnight or day center we just don't have that I know of. I think during the cold weather shelter, we certainly looked for anything that we could have. And then when it comes to funding, we are very limited, and depending on Amendment 3, we're probably going to be even more limited on what we do financially. So as far as just cutting checks, we don't really do that for nonprofits. We have very little that we do that, and that could potentially change. So, but we will support you anyway, other ways. If you're applying for grants and you need a letter of support, we'll be glad to do that. Anything else we can help you out, reach out to us individually and see what we could do.
Commissioner, can I say something?
Sure.
Yvette Reyes, y'all know that I'm a homeless advocate and a very passionate one.
Mm-hmm.
The COC has undermined what Ms. Sheila has been doing under the RISE solution. You don't know what you don't know. The COC cut Catholic Charities, which was the only agency that has been helping us with the homeless, $148,000 this
Wow.
year. The COC received, according to Judson Sapp's office, $5 million for the counties that they provide services with. They gave all their money to the agencies in Alachua County. Grace Marketplace was cut. They had 2 outreach people here. they now have one. They have Mal, and they give Grace Marketplace $68,000 for her salary. We need your help. I get that you don't have the money to help us right now with the shelter, but we need your help to talk to our legislative team to stop pumping the money outside of Putnam County and bring the money here. Because our people are suffering on the streets because these other organizations are receiving the money and they don't feel we have a need because the pit count that they're doing, because they're running it, is inaccurate. We don't have 50 homeless people in Putnam County. You were just involved in a situation, okay? You, JR, you were part of it as well. I had already got that call. And whatever happened, happened. I don't know what happened at Grace, but Willie is back in the streets. I will talk to Mal about that. But we have got to keep the money here, and we've got to support our local agencies that are actually providing the service. Sheila is providing the service for everyone that is homeless that can get to her. Because, again, transportation is an issue. Not everybody can get to her. So we need you to back us up in Tallahassee to say we need our money here. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Commissioner Harvey, you're recognized.
Ms. Reyes, you know, when we think of homeless, we think of the person walking down the street pushing the cart, but we also need to be mindful that West Putnam, South Putnam, people think they're living in the woods. They're living on somebody's lot. They're in a tent. They have a tarp. They're on the side of the road in a box. I saw it they're all over the place. And the calls I get is, what are you going to do about it? You know, we need to know about it. But at the same time, it's an epidemic. And for those people who think it's not in Putnam County, just ride around. Just go out to Interlochen, go South Putnam and look. It's all over the place. And we've got to find a way. And when we look at housing, you know, starter homes, for example, my first starter home was a single wide mobile home that cost me $125 a month, and I didn't know how in the world I was going to pay for that. Then I got a double wide, and it was $208 a month, and I was like, Lord, how am I going to make that payment? I couldn't imagine $1,500 to $2,000 a month right now. I can't imagine that. So I think it behooves us all to look at this problem, and I really thank y'all for bringing this. We've talked about this for a long, long time. Yes, we have. And, you know, now it's finally coming to pass, and our legislators need to know that just standing there saying we serve Putnam County doesn't mean you serve Putnam County. We know the truth, and like our chairwoman just said, so I applaud you. But if you're seeing the guy on the road, there's 20 more in the woods that you didn't even see. And that's the whole deal. And you know, government can't solve that problem. We got to find a way for the private sector and the faith-based organizations to step up and do something to help these people out. They didn't choose to be homeless some of them didn't. Some of them just fell into hard times, and we've all been. There's not a person in this room that hasn't had hard times and wonder, how am I going to make it through? But we got to find a way to help these people and get them back on their feet, because they are important people to this society. Thank you.
I have one more button. Hold on. Mr. Suggs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's great timing for this conversation. Then I'll share with Ms. Sheila and her team up there that Representative Sapp's office reached out yesterday and sent us an email wanting to have a conversation with you and I regarding the lack of funding that is coming to Putnam County for the continuum of care. So I just thought I'd share that this morning while we're having this conversation. And as soon as we get an opportunity to schedule that appointment, Chair Wilkes and I will forward out some information to let you know where we're headed with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for everything you do. Thank you. All right, going into our planning and development public hearing, future land use amendment. Oh, we have solid waste. Let me backtrack. Item number 4, solid waste. Special assessment roll. This is, yeah. Okay. This is, if we can ask the mayors in the audience to please come forward. Welcome, Mayor Correa. Welcome, Mayor Myers. Public comment will follow the discussion on this item. Who's doing the presentation?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Solid Waste Board. This is just by county ordinance. The board is required to establish the solid waste assessment and the government-owned properties in roles. So we're just approving the special assessment role as required to implement the resolution.
All right, is there any questions from anyone on the board? All right. Is there any public comment regarding this special assessment role? All right, coming back to the board.
Madam Chair, I move to accept and approve the special assessment role for implementation of the fiscal year 2026-27 solid waste rate resolution.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're good? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Now we're going into planning and development public hearing. Future land use map amendment. I know many of you are here for the moratorium. We have that coming up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, for the record, Michael Graves, Planning and Development Services. This is case CPA 26000002 and its sister case, case REZ 26000008. Both these cases are on the same property, so we have condensed them into one presentation. The company PC Power Washing LLC is requesting a zoning and future land use map amendment from rural residential to commercial for the future land use category and residential 1A to commercial general C3 on 1.4 acres for the zoning district located at 148 Butler Drive in Satsuma to establish a boat and RV storage facility. Surrounding zonings include residential 2, residential 1A, and commercial retail C2. The lands have approximately 196 feet of frontage along Butler and Bell Drive and another 320 feet of frontage along San Mateo Road. According to the National Wetlands Layer and the FEMA Flood Zone Layer on the GIS reference map, lands do not appear to contain wetlands and is located in FEMA Flood Zone X, which is not a special flood hazard area. Should the request be approved, the applicant will then need to go through the development review DRC process for any commercial development allowed by right in the commercial general C3 zoning district. Should only one of these two cases be approved, then no development will be permitted on the property due to the incompatibility between the zoning and the future land use categories. Rural residential does not allow for any commercial zoning to exist, whereas commercial future land use does not allow for any residential development to exist. Here you can see an aerial overview of the property. It's the one in the center that's highlighted in purple. You'll be able to see it a bit easier here on the future land use map, and of course on the zoning map. Staff recommends denial of the request to amend the future land use from rural residential to commercial and the request to amend the zoning map from residential 1A to commercial general C3. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning and map amendment are not compatible with the goals, objectives, and policies of the adopted comprehensive plan and does not meet the locational requirements of the commercial future land use category or the commercial general C3 zoning district provided in the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan. At the July 8th, 2026 meeting, the Putnam County Planning Commission unanimously recommended denial of the same requests. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Alexander, you're recognized.
Good morning. Just for the record, can you explain to our constituents and those in the audience what a C3 designation would allow on that property around the residential area should it be changed?
Absolutely. So the commercial general C3 zoning district allows for every general commercial development that you can think of course. This is everything from the corner store to a Publix to a drive-through like McDonald's. Those are allowed in the C2 zoning district. Once you hit into C3, then you get into, of course, RV and boat storage, mini warehouses. You get into auto dealerships. You get into not auto body repair, but you'd be able to do things like oil changes and battery replacements, light mechanical work, if you will. There's also the storage of heavy equipment and heavy vehicles, such as construction equipment. That would also be allowed in the zoning district by right.
Thank you. I want everybody to understand what the difference is between the different categories, so they understand what would be bringing into a residential area where houses are present directly adjacent or could potentially be present directly adjacent to this property when we make our decision.
Of course, and
Thank
there
you.
are houses directly adjacent and surrounding on all sides other than the west side of this property.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, is there any public comment on this item? Do we have any public comment cards? Are there any comments? Anybody in the audience wishing to speak, come forward, please. State your name and address for the record and your comments.
Hi, I'm Tony Pierce, 132 Waterside Avenue, Satsuma. I wasn't even aware this was on the agenda. I live down the street from there. I've watched them clear the land. I've seen them start bringing things in. I was wondering what was happening. I'm happy to hear they're going to deny it. That's a recommendation. I'm hoping as a neighbor of this property, as I go by that property almost every day, that it does get denied. I couldn't imagine starting to put something like that on that property.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who's wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant in the audience? Back to the board. Michael, so the way it's currently zoned, it's residential already. So they still have a use of the property by, it would just need to be the residential use, is that correct?
Absolutely. This property can support one single-family residence.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Yes,
I have
sir.
if we deny this, do we need to hear the next one? Because you said it's just a matter of,
Staff combined the two cases into one presentation. It is up to the board's determination if they wish to hear the review again or not, or if they wish to make a motion for both
Well,
cases.
is it possible for me to recommend that we make the motion to deny both the future land use and the zoning change at one time?
No, you have to take two separate votes on it.
Okay.
all right, Madam Chair, I move that we deny this future land use map from rural residential to commercial. We deny it.
Second.
Do we have to read it?
Not on denial.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And now, based on the incompatibility with future land use map designation, that can be the basis for the motion to deny the rezoning.
Okay, I will make that motion that we deny the future land use map change, the rezone based on the incompatibility with the FLM or FLU, future land use.
Second.
All right. Any further comments or questions? Again, I'll give an opportunity. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, going into public hearing on ordinance establishing a temporary planning moratorium. If anybody wants a packet, they're in the back of the room as well if you want to follow along the agenda. Who's doing this presentation? Okay, that would be our county attorney. Thank you, sir.
So at the board's direction, for your consideration today is a moratorium on large-scale data centers. As I think you know, there have been some kind of comments, or I don't quite want to call it a frenzy, but people who have been upset with the idea that a large-scale data center was coming to Putnam County. Commissioner Alexander kind of pointed out that we didn't have any applications to that effect, but even so, we made a change to a policy, and then the companion support to that is to take a breath, to take some time, and make sure that we're understanding the full impact and nature to the county. So enacting a moratorium is a little bit of a tricky process, and it's a tricky process for us in part, not on a general terms, but only because of Senate Bill 180. So because of Senate Bill 180 that says we cannot pass any comprehensive plan or land development code changes that are more burdensome or restrictive than our current code, it kind of puts us in an odd situation. However, Senate Bill 44 did say that local governments can pass regulations to further deal with different issues that might come with large-scale data centers. So considering that this moratorium is really modeled after some of the other surrounding counties where we're trying to tread lightly on not making any changes that are more burdensome or restrictive. We're not even looking to change the code right now, but we're going to use the time period of 1 year to obtain, solicit information related to the true impacts of these things. As you can see in the proposed ordinance, there's also a report that's going to come out of the legislature that's expected next July from OPAGA, and we believe that's going to have some valuable data for the board to consider, whether or not it's to allow data centers in a certain zoning classification or whether or not it will be to create a new zoning classification, and to determine if, when, where that would be something that Putnam County should consider. And I can answer any questions.
All right, before I take a couple, I just want to say for OPAGA, for everyone in the audience, is the Office of Program Policy Analysis and Governmental Accountability, and that's through the state of Florida, correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the legislature has a investigative and auditing type arm, and that's what OPAGA is.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear for our audience. Commissioner Harvey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for Attorney for bringing this to fruition. This is something that's been on the front burner for a long time, not because of politics, but because it's the right thing to do for our county. We don't need a mega data center, and I don't think anybody here wants one. But we do have some cleaning up to do. Attorney, I called you last week. It says the ordinance shall be effective September 1, but we all know that's going to be September 8th now because that'll be our next meeting. So that's a correction that needs to be made, and you agreed with that the other day. Mr. Suggs, I was unable yesterday to forward my emails to you. I was working from my emails on my phone, but I did get some correspondence, as we're required to let you know, but I could not forward those emails. But as soon as my laptop is up and running, I'll get those to you. I did receive a call from Mr. Browning yesterday concerned about the exemptions in this, but again, like I said, I couldn't email that to you for transparency reason. But I think that I would like to see more less exemptions and more teeth, but this is our first reading, and now we've got until September 8th to hone it in some more if we can. But one question I do have, Mr. Rich Commando, can this be renewed? I know in the Section 9, it can basically be repealed by the majority vote of the Board of County Commissioners, but can we put a line in there that can be renewed at the same time?
So moratoriums have been challenged legally by property owners throughout history. I would say I wouldn't put something in there now because it's very fact specific.
Okay.
When we come to the time where it is scheduled to expire, if there's additional work that needs to be done, that could constitute the grounds by which the commission would extend the moratorium.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all my questions today.
Commissioner Alexander, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too have a couple of emails that were sent to me this weekend that I need to forward to Mr. Suggs. They were all asking me to support the moratorium. Additionally, John Browning did contact me asking for our support of the moratorium. And just for the public's knowledge, I know it seems like we had taken a little time to put this together, but that was the purpose of the stopgap, so that all of this would be transparent. But the actual purpose was to allow our attorney to construct something that was defensible in the court of law. We as a county benefit from the unique position that we share our attorney with numerous other counties who have enacted or in the process of enacting moratoriums. So he can take that knowledge and apply it to ours. So we should have a good item here that is defensible to protect our community. And that is what we were waiting on. As you all know, we all support the water rights of Putnam County. We spent the last year and a half fighting for the water rights of Putnam County. So The inaction that many have interpreted was not to debate this, it was to provide our community with legally defensible protection for our community.
Commissioner Palacio, you're recognized.
Just something for our constituents that may not be aware. We're a member of the Small County Coalition, which is basically counties that are 75,000 residents or less in the state. We're teetering on the edge of that right now, but something that we rally for, and this is a prime example of, it's called home rule, and it means Tallahassee don't stick that down our throat. And that's where we want to be in control of ourselves and where we're going and what we're doing. So this is a prime example of home rule working to the best it can. And it's something that we always need to fight for to hold on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I just have a question for Mr. Commando. And I'd received an email from regarding comparing us to the Clay County moratorium. And in Clay County's moratorium, their definition said data center facilities. We're being more specific in ours for large-scale data center projects. Should we take the approach that Clay County had to include, or what are your thoughts on that?
So I have a couple thoughts on that. One is, I think you have to be cautious about how you define just data center versus the large-scale data centers. And part of the reason why is the purpose in enacting this moratorium are concerns about the drain for electrical usage as well as water usage. So some of the smaller data centers, and there are smaller data centers, the examples I can give are, you know, even our own county uses data switches and things that only take up a room. They don't consume any amount of water because they just use our normal air conditioning, and they don't consume some high amount of power. So we don't want to have an unintended consequence where we negatively affect something that's not a burden on the natural resources, because that's really kind of the direction of what this is intended to protect.
Mm-hmm. So like when I worked at the water management, I remember they had a huge server room is what they called it. That could be considered a data center?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. Are there any public comment cards? Are there any other questions before we start taking public comment? Again, if you wish to speak, just fill out one of these cards and we'll get you heard. Mr. Michael Woodward. Oh. I'll just start it here, I guess. Hey, Mr. Woodward.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Michael Woodward, 517 South Francis Street, Interlochen. Nobody's paying me to be here, and I've been a Putnam County resident for over 50 years.
Thank you.
Putnam County citizens deserve the same protection from data centers that other counties have already provided their citizens via data center moratoriums. Until we can put detailed regulations in place to protect us, we need a moratorium that prevents any data centers whatsoever from coming into our county. The draft moratorium ordinance that you have before you today does not do that. It is flawed in two ways. First, in reviewing the draft ordinance, I compared it to ordinances enacted by Clay, Citrus, and Nassau counties. Those counties' ordinances place a moratorium on all data centers. Contrast this with the language of Section 5 of today's draft ordinance found on page 113 of your agenda packet. This ordinance would apply only to large-scale data center projects. Any number of small and medium-sized data centers would still be allowed, despite the fact that we still have no regulations in place to limit their individual or cumulative impacts. I understand that the main focus of Senate Bill 484 was on large-scale data centers, and of course a small center is not as bad as a big one. Who knows, later on we might even decide we like small data centers. But sorting all this out should and will occur in the process of crafting permanent regulations for data centers. Until we can get that done, until we have the information we need to sort out the good and the bad and the ugly, we need to press pause on all data centers. Second, while the other 3 counties' moratorium ordinances stop all kinds of development approvals, all development approvals for data centers, Section 5 of today's draft ordinance would pause only discretionary development approvals. That's fine if the data center needs a comp plan amendment or a zoning change, in which case you and the public would get a say in that anyhow. But somebody who wants to put a data center, even a large-scale data center, on a site that is already zoned industrial, could assert that because we have no regulations saying otherwise, a data center is a generic industrial use, a use by right, and that as long as its building and site plans meet code and objective criteria, it is legally entitled to have its development permits approved as ministerial rather than discretionary acts. In other words, the draft ordinance as currently worded would put a moratorium only on the types of development approvals you could also already say no to anyway. But there would be no moratorium on the types of approvals you cannot now say no to. We need a moratorium that stops those non-discretionary approvals for data centers too. If, as I believe, your intention is to enact a moratorium that actually protects Putnam County citizens from data centers, rather than one that just gives the appearance of doing so, you can fix these problems with a draft ordinance today, if you wish, with some language changes. If you want specific suggestions, I could offer you some. Otherwise, I will thank you for your attention and sit down.
Thank you. Mr. Judd Newfield. ITR timer thing's not working. I don't know what you can do about that, but maybe when we take a break, you can fix the timer.
I'll make my comments real brief, and thank you each for your service to us.
Are you going to put your brief up here?
Oh, yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay, got it. Okay.
I think you've said everything that I need to hear, so I'll save my speech for another day, but thank you very much for your service.
All right, no data centers, please. Got it. All right, thank you. Ms. Finch. Jessica Finch.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jessica Finch, and I'm here representing the St. Johns River Keeper. And before you ask, I am an employee of the St. Johns River Keeper. My position is paid for through donations from folks across Florida, primarily Northeast Florida, and also including Putnam County. My position is one of advocacy to protect the St. Johns River and its largest tributary, the Ocklawaha. Previously, I've spoken about our opposition to data centers, including potential harm to the St. Johns River. I'm not here to rehash those reasons in 3 minutes. I'm here to applaud the direction that you all are taking to consider a moratorium on data centers. However, we would ask for stronger language, and I would concur with Attorney Woodward regarding some of the issues that he has mentioned. We would ask that the ordinance be beefed up to strike the word discretionary and large scale and include some verbiage directly from the Clay County moratorium. And I quote, "Following the completion of and during review process, county staff shall present recommendations to the Board of Commissioners regarding the adoption of appropriate zoning regulations, permitting requirements, infrastructure standards, and environmental safeguards governing data center facilities." Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on the subject matter? Come on up, one at a time. State your name and address for the record. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Amani Klein, P.O. Box 455, Satsuma, Florida 32189. I also, too, would like more backing of better language for this moratorium, because it leaves room for hyperscale, small and medium data centers. I was a bit confused by Section 6 exemptions. It says, shall not apply to complete applications to determine sufficient. What is determined sufficient is my question. So that would need a little bit of clarification. But I would just like for the moratorium to be backed further to protect our citizens and our everyday life here in Putnam County. Thank you.
Okay. And just for clarity, we still have not received any applications,
Correct.
all right,
Madam
on
Chair?
any data centers.
And that statement candidly is a statement of the present sense of the law. So whether you do it or not, that comment applies.
Say that again?
That statement that even from the point of enacting a moratorium, if somebody had a large-scale application that came in, the rules that apply prior to the enactment of the moratorium still adhere. So whether you say it in there or not, that's just a statement of the current state of the law.
Okay.
Madam Chair, could we get
Yes.
that microphone turned up some? I could barely hear the last speaker.
Yeah, she's very soft-spoken.
IT, James, they're asking for the microphone to be turned up at the podium.
You probably don't need it
There
turned
you
up
go.
for me, but my name's Sarah Strominger. I actually live in St. Johns County, but I grew up in Hastings, and my family home where I celebrate Christmas is in East Palaco, where my sister's at, and all her kids. So I did all my grocery shopping here as a kid, and I consider this place home, even though I grew up on the other side of the line. But I just want to make it very clear that I don't want any loopholes or any soft language in this moratorium. The devil is in the details, and the details are for the long-term legislation on this. The moratorium is time for you guys to figure those details out, and Putnam
Correct.
County deserves that. And I also want to draw a little bit of attention because it's been in the news. It was in the news again today. In Gary, Indiana, there's 7,000 people who don't have electricity and haven't had electricity for the last 2 weeks following a storm, but the local data centers are still running, right? So, and when we've got these maybe a medium scale, even if it's not a large scale, these data centers can't be unplugged and plugged back in a state of emergency. And so when we're entering, we've been in storm season, for a couple months, but we all know that the next couple months are when storms are maybe coming. So situations like that are very real, and we don't want to give the precedence to the electricity, to the data centers. That needs to be for us here. So I hope that gets worked in maybe to your long-term language, but just to emphasize that we should be taking this moratorium seriously as just an outright ban while we have the time to develop what it's going to look like long-term.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We want to make sure everybody has the time to speak on this. Hi there.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
There you go.
Okay. My name is Erica Burnell, and I live at 126 Ida Boulevard in Interlochen. And I echo my Interlochen neighbor and Putnam County neighbors advocating against the data centers. I also want to at least name that a lot of times the boon and the benefit that people want to champion is the jobs, but their studies show that it's just a one-time job and there's no long-term jobs. And I really appreciate the nature here and the peace, and I feel like that is something that everybody here appreciates. And instead of building out, why not building up in the urban places that we already have established? And so I don't think that a data center is going to add to the quality of life here. And so thank you for your time, and I hope that strengthening the language and closing the loopholes is something that you will take to heart and finish those details.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Come on, get in line. You can come on up and be ready.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ed Killebrew, 146 Barden Estates Circle, Palaca, Florida. I didn't really come prepared to speak, but figured I would. Ms. Wilkerson, as you know, in Barden, we've had about 3,000 or 4,000 acres of hunting club destroyed by the Florida Power and Light. Nothing against Florida Power and Light, but it was destroyed for the solar panels. At Flora Home, everywhere we turn around looking, we're having solar panels pick up. Right? And when they come in and do that, you know, I didn't realize what they did then. It just becomes a desert. They come in, they clear the whole piece of land, and it becomes a desert. I started having bears. I mean, I live in the woods, and I get that, but I started having bears in my front yard, tugging at my doors, things like that, you know, just because everything went away. What's that got to do with the data center? Well, I mean, the data center might not take up the whole area, and it might be a building that's become something else, you know, that's just there, but it's still everything that I've heard about them, they affect our environment, the water, I know with the solar panels, my house is just out there. It's just gotten hotter because they've taken away the trees that absorb the temperatures that come down from the sun. I mean, it's hot everywhere. But it's just a matter of environment to me. You know, I'm born and raised here. I'm 65 years old. I'm a sixth generation Putnam County. And yes, I know growth's coming, and there's not a lot we can do to stop it. But maybe we can slow it down, and maybe as being in Putnam County, maybe we don't need this. You know, those are just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say that this board or any board didn't get to vote on solar panels, just saying.
Hello, my name's Kathy Campbell, and I was born and raised in Putnam County.
Hey, Ms. Campbell.
And I listened to everything here, and I think there's one piece of the puzzle that's missing. And I don't know if anyone has ever sat down and listened and watched families that live within data center areas. I've watched so many families online that live in the huge one in Texas and some small ones. And we forget that we don't even have a clue what the effect of those are on the health of people that are around them. I watch these mothers cry because their babies can't sleep at night because these centers give off a hum. She said, I'm not talking a hum. She said, it's incessant. She said, you can't get away from it. Her babies cry at night, and she's crying, she said, because we can't move. No one wants to buy our home now that we're next to a data center. Then I listened to a person that's on a farm, and they talk about how their animals have been disrupted, how their behaviors have changed, how their hens don't lay eggs. And we can sit here and say, yeah, that sounds great, but this is what's going on in the real life. I watch real people who sit around these centers and live around these centers. I'm not watching politicians or commissioners or people who can make money off of them or people who don't want to. I sit there and I look and say, I don't want my children or my grandchildren living near that. Would you want yours? If you knew it harmed them? And these people I listened to, and I wept and cried. These mothers and these families and their children going to school that can't get away from it, because if you do your research on just what it does, the water, yes, that's critical. The electricity, yes, that's critical. But the health of the people in our county and the health of the people that you are going to make a decision to represent, would you live next to it if you knew it was dangerous? Would you want your grandchildren living next to it? Would you want the school close enough to it? These things radiate miles. I don't want my family living next to it, nor would I want any of yours. So please consider that they honestly do not know the long-term effects. They don't. But these families I watch on TV are living in it, and it broke my heart. They can't sleep. It disrupts everything in the neighborhood, everything in the surrounding areas. So I beg you to do some research as you tighten up this, as you use the lawyer, the attorney here, to take on language that's already working in other counties to seal the deal, that we don't have any of this. I don't care how small, how big. A small one still will give off heat. It gives off heat. Do some research, please, and look at what it does, and then go and find people that live near them and listen to them. That's what I wanted to share, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Protect our county, protect our people.
Thank you. All right, one more round. We're going to ask one more round. Anybody else? Come on up.
Good morning. My name is Natalie Harrington, 290 East End Road, San Mateo. Thank you for your time this morning, and thank you to everyone that's here to support this cause. I do have one question that I don't feel has been addressed. Will this moratorium also stop or prevent the zoning that is already in progress for the property on 135 Gilbert Road in East Palatka? Do we know?
There's nothing.
Nothing has been, no zoning has been
Nothing's been applied
pursued
for that
applied
property.
for. Okay, thank you. That's my question.
We state that every meeting that we have no paperwork, nobody has filed anything wants to put a data center here. This is all still just talk. It's just talk. Just corner barbershop talk. It's just, there's nobody done anything. So, and that's the reason we're trying to be ahead of the game by hopefully enforcing a moratorium.
Commissioner Harvey, you recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the speakers just said basically enact something that some other county had done. So with that question, Mr. Commando, I don't believe any moratorium has been challenged in the court of law yet in Florida, has it?
Not that I'm aware of, and part of the reason why is there hasn't been an application or an attempt for an application yet. There's only 2 large-scale data centers that are currently in operation in the state, and they're down in south central part of the state.
Right. So I think just because some other county did it, which I applaud them for doing it, doesn't mean that it'll pass the test in a court of law. And you're our attorney, so we hire you to make sure that we have a defensible project. I would like to see some language changed before the next one, but my concern is maybe we can, where it said large scale, maybe we can put any data center, and maybe we can tie a square footage to it. Because like you said, I mean, the county we're thinking about moving our IT building, and that's going to have some sort of data center inside that. And it's always the unintended consequences. You could take a school that has a computer bank in a school in the same situation, or a college. So maybe if we could look at it and add a square footage where less than 1,000 feet or square feet or something to that nature. I don't know, but I don't want to see any of it. I really want to see, they don't provide jobs. They take our natural resources. And like Commissioner Alexander said, we spent a year and a half fighting in Tallahassee to keep home rule, like Commissioner Palacier said, and our water. I don't want our natural resources to go away. If you came to my lake right now, you'd see dog fennels that are 10 foot high. You can't even see the water because there is no water. There should be water. There should be over the dock at 10 feet. There's no water. And that's what's happening in West Putnam. And if you don't think that's going to happen statewide, if we don't get some named storms, I'm talking many of them, you got a water war going on. And you better be very careful about what's going to take place, because the last thing, people don't live like we live everywhere. They don't live in this state. Orlando, they turn the spigot on, they got water. They don't know where it comes from. We know. And I've heard complaints, they put shallow wells in. They did years ago. Sure they did. Because that's where the water table was. They didn't need to go down 200 or 300 feet. But now those wells are running dry. You can ask Kay Alford at Rodman Plantation. Those wells are running dry out there. And the problem is we've got to protect our water and our resources, because other people want what we have. And trust me, this is important. I'm going to get on my soapbox, Madam Chair, but I took a reporter out to the dam one time and said, Roger, I'll drink off out of the spillway or out of the reservoir right now if you drink off the Jacksonville Landing. He said, I can't drink that water. It's not the same water. I said, oh yeah. Goes right out the Ocklawaha into the St. Johns and flows north. And then goes out to do what? Compete to the Atlantic Ocean. That's really all it does. So you better keep an eye on what we got, because it's not, we think it's renewable, and it is if we get the rain. But I'm telling you, we get about a 20-minute rain and it's gone. It's a good rain. The grass is popping up out of the ground, but we're not filling up our aquifer right now whatsoever. So just want to bring that up and let you know that I think maybe we could add a little bit more, but this is our first reading, and this commissioner is going to be dedicated to working on maybe adding some more language. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Newbold, you're recognized.
Well, that was my question about first and second reading. How much change can we put in between now and the second reading? Or do we have to kick it down the road after that if we change it too much?
From a perspective of transparency, you want to make sure that you're not making any substantive material changes. Otherwise, you would have to go back to first reading. But as far as the creating a definition, I like the idea. The problem is you are going to be required to make findings in enacting the moratorium. We don't have any data to support that there's a harm for a 1,000-foot data center or 1,500-foot data center. So the legislature did a lot of the heavy lifting on that with Senate Bill 484, and that's kind of what we're using as the guide from a defensible position.
I do like the idea of having some size requirement, some restriction. I don't want to put us in a position to where if one of our existing entities, the university, the college or a school or GP has a need for a data center, and then we just can't allow them to do it because we've unintentionally squashed that. So I would like to see something in there that put some size restriction on it.
Mr. Commando, when I look at the analysis for Senate Bill 484, it looks like they did have some language for classifications. So large scale was 50 plus, is that megawatts under Florida law? Like they defined that, but they also in their analysis discussed that medium size would be considered 5 to 20 with the 20,000 to 100,000 square feet. Small would be 1 to 5 MW with a 5,000 to 20,000 square feet. So it does look like there is some, in the analysis, it does look like there was some, maybe they didn't legally define it, but they certainly discussed it. I don't know, I'm not the attorney in the room, but they certainly discussed the difference between those large scale versus medium versus small.
They did, and I saw that as part of the drafting of this moratorium. What I don't have is I don't have any sort of evidence that demonstrate that that's a danger. Just like the ones
Say that again, that you don't have any evidence that what?
That they present a danger, just like we're calling them server rooms, which are all throughout the county. And candidly, we don't even know that they come into existence because there's not a requirement that they come in and file an application. So I don't want to create some public air of fear for something that I don't think is a danger to anyone, something that's been happening for a very long time.
So let's say they come in at some facility comes in and they're 100,000 square feet and they're 20 MWs, they would then be, this ordinance wouldn't apply to them?
The moratorium doesn't, but that doesn't mean they automatically get to operate by right. So looking at our land development code, there's still a process where it would ultimately come back to you, and we would address that as it came forward.
But the whole purpose, one of the biggest purposes of this ordinance is the fact that we have no policies or objective development standards in our land development code or in our comprehensive plan. We have nothing to address this. So if that's one of our reasonings, then a medium size, we don't have anything to address those either. So when you say that we don't know that they won't hurt us, we don't know what we don't know. I agree with that. Somebody said that earlier, but I mean, there is, I don't know. I'd like to see this stronger language. There is some things in here that are more specific. When I compared it to Clay County, like we specifically capture phased projects. We specifically capture campus-style data center development. We specifically exempt existing lawful data centers and facilities that do. But what about, so we're exempting the existing lawful data centers and facilities that do not constitute a large-scale data center, and I don't know that that's better than, do you see what I'm saying? where is there room in here to make this stronger that we're not, that it just doesn't apply to, is there room in here to make it stronger? Or you're saying we only have to apply it to large scale?
Well, my understanding is that's where the concern is.
I think the concern's data centers. I don't know. Commissioner Harvey, you recognized.
Madam Chair, thank you. Mr. Commando, in the ordinance that was written, based on what our chairwoman has just kind of discussed, where it says on line 3, planning moratorium on, why could not we insert medium and or large scale data centers as per the analysis of the Florida statute and refer to the bill number? I think that would give us a defensible position, and that kind of, the medium one was defined in the analysis of the Florida legislators. So why could not we just add medium and or large scale data centers as the analysis by the Florida statute and name the bill number?
I don't know that the Florida statute defined that. The Senate bill analysis did.
The analysis did.
But when you look at, and I'll pull it up, 373-203, I don't think it defined.
It's not. It's not in the 373-203.
But it doesn't hurt for us to push the home rule, and our citizens want, no data centers, and I realize that there's got to be some sort of, square footage. I get that, but I think we can easily defend our position by using the legislative intent or the analysis that they had. So inserting the word medium there and or large scale, I think solves the problem, and we identify why we put medium in there. It is our home, and we're allowed to do what we want to do in our home. And I feel like very strongly that the citizens don't want it, so let's go for it. Let's do it. I think it's defensible based on those comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Alexander, you recognized.
So it's obvious that we would, or this commissioner would like to move forward with the moratorium at this point. I don't want to delay the action. I understand the need or the feeling of enacting stronger language, but the question arises, you said it needed, if there were a significant change, we would have to move our first reading forward to the next meeting, but would the definition of significant change allow us to make some of the rearrangements that we're looking for here and still have the second reading at the next meeting?
I think we can, and you know what, I think maybe we could take part of the definition and just incorporate that into our moratorium. I'm not a fan of external references to documents only because I've looked at, I think, the same staff analysis that our Madam Chair looked at, but there are many other analyses that are out there, so I don't want to create something that just leads to confusion on what the definition is.
So if we proceeded with the motion to approve this moratorium as is, we can make additional changes between here and the next meeting that would not affect our timeline.
Well, it sounds like the will of the commission is to approve the ordinance with the amendment to include medium-scale data centers.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So at this point, can we make a motion to approve the moratorium as is with the amendment for medium to large-scale data centers?
Second.
Is that clear?
You want to read
Clear enough.
You want to read the resolution by title?
The ordinance, yes.
All right.
So, in the title, it says on large scale, so we would say on medium and large scale.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to make a motion establishing an ordinance temporarily banning medium and large-scale data center planning.
So actually, if you don't mind, let me read the ordinance. So,
sure.
An ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, Florida, establishing a temporary planning moratorium on medium-scale and large-scale data center development applications, providing legislative findings, providing purpose and intent, providing definitions, providing for applicability, providing exemptions, providing for a staff study, providing for duration, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
That's your motion. That's my second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Let me get one question in
Yes.
before we run forward.
Yes.
In that section 3 where it touches on discretionary development, what is your thought on that, Mr. Commando?
I'm sorry, where are you?
In section 5,
Section 5 or section 3?
I'm sorry, I meant section 5.
Section
My
5.
apologies.
Okay.
Under temporary planning moratorium, let's see, schedule for public hearing,
Or issue any?
approve or issue any discretionary development.
Yeah.
That was not where I was.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
And then the second paragraph also says, and it ends in any substantially similar discretionary approval. It says discretionary in there a couple times, building permits requiring prior discretionary development approval.
That's right. So basically the halt, the moratorium would apply to that as well. I'm not aware of any discretionary improvement, but as a catch-all, just in case. That language is included in there.
Okay.
Got it. All right, no motion and a second.
So just to be clear, this moratorium stops the county from accepting, processing, reviewing, scheduling for public hearing, approving, or issuing. That term is just, I guess, throwing us all off, discretionary development approvals. So discretionary is,
Again, it's just a catch-all.
it's a catch-all. Okay. But it specifically lists in this, the comprehensive plan amendments, rezoning, planned unit developments, special use permits, major modifications, site plans, development permits, development orders, building permits requiring prior approval, and any other similar approvals.
Correct, because that was the list of things that I think could potentially come to us as the county.
Okay, no, I think that this is a very broader, this is good, okay. Okay,
Madam Chair.
yes, we're gonna have a motion and a second. Do you have any questions?
I just want to make sure that I brought this out a minute ago, but this effective date would be September 8th.
I'll
Yes.
make that change as part of it.
Okay, thank you. And that's, yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, can we take a break?
Yeah, we're going to take a few minute break right now. Thank you for everyone who came today. Commission meeting, it is 10:31. Next up, we still have a public hearing item on approval, the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program 23-24 reports and transmittal to the state. Ms. Young, is this you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Okay.
you so much. This is our SHIP 23-24 reports and transmittal to the state. This is a tentative 23-24 report to comply with Florida Housing's requirements. We are still closing out some of those funds in that project year, but want to make sure that we stay in good compliance with Florida Housing. So this will be transmitted following your approval.
Thank you. So I sit on that board, and I chair that board. And as you can see in page 118 of your packet, how the money gets spent with owner-occupied rehab, demolition, reconstruction. We've replaced a home, and then we have some emergency assistance money. So what happens is we had an application period where citizens could come in and apply for their home issues they were having at their home. There was an approval process. They went through that, and this is doing demolition and repair or replacement, rehab, reconstruction for people who truly would never be able to afford that on their own. And it's not unique to a particular incorporated area. It is the entire Putnam County. And sometimes there are places that fall within cities, but we don't turn those away. We offer it to anyone in the county. So this is an idea of how the money gets spent. It's not an idea, it is factual. And then it also shows you like the qualifications of low or moderately low income that they have to have on the second page. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to say, years and years ago, we had a backlog and we were not doing so well. And Commissioner Bill Pickens at the time took on the mantle and ran with this to bring this into compliance because we were going to lose funding. Practically the whole program was in jeopardy. So kudos out to Commissioner Bill Pickens and staff for really saying, okay, this is important to Putnam County, and under your leadership also, Madam Chair, to move this forward because it does help a lot of people in our county with home repairs and down payment assistance and other items. So just want to give that shout out to Commissioner Bill Pickens today.
And he still serves on the board. He agreed to serve for a little bit longer and make sure I'm handling things properly and that his legacy continues. So we thank him for that. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the SHIP report, item B in your public hearing, number 6? All right, with that, we'll come back to the board. We'll need a motion.
Madam Chair, I move a board approval in the tentative 2023-24 closeout report.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 7, public comment on agenda items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed at the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting to the deputy clerk who sits to the right of the podium. Are there any public comment cards on agenda items? Do we have anything on agendas? All right, there will be an opportunity to also speak on miscellaneous. So if you're not here for something that's on the agenda, there will certainly be a time to speak. Consent agendas, is there any commissioners wishing to pull anything? Commissioner Harvey.
Madam Chair, I'd like to pull item A.
Commissioner Alexander.
I have none.
Commissioner Newbold.
Nothing to pull.
Commissioner Palacier.
I have none.
And I have none.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move approval of consent agendas item B, C, D, and E.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, on to Commissioner Harvey. You're recognized for consent agenda A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to go back 12 years ago. Commissioner Palacier was here. We had people that were talking about gasification constantly with us. We had people explaining molecules and atoms and byproducts and make your head spin around. I personally drove around the state of Florida looking at at waste collection, and I know a lot about waste collection, and Mr. Hotelan was part of some of those comments, and was fortunate enough to end up at the University of Florida holding the gasification torch. You know, this is a project for Putnam County that just makes good sense for us, right? We're on the leading edge of a product that we can take, eventually, hopefully, take all of our waste, go 100% recycling, and make a product, a byproduct out of that. And, you know, it sounds kind of like science fiction, but it's not. It's working. And we were out there just a few weeks ago with the head of the Department of Commerce, touring the facility and looking at what's going on out there. This is just a big start of what it could be, and this can put Putnam County, you know, we say on the map, but this can give us another feather in our cap of taking trash and making something out of it. You might think that's just silly, but what we're doing now is no different than what the Indians did, and we mound it up. They just didn't put it in a bag. That's what they didn't have a liner. Now we have liners. And this can be a product where when it starts making things, you'll be mining those landfills and getting rid of those mounds and providing a byproduct. So, Madam Chair, I just wanted to bring that out. I think this is wonderful technology. It's moving us forward. I've got high hopes that it's going to do what it's going to do. And I move consent agenda item A for approval.
Second.
And we have a second. Commissioner Pellister, you're recognized.
Commissioner Harvey, you brought it forward, so I'm going to kick the can a little harder too.
Please do.
Yes, I was here when we were looking at selling the landfill or how to handle our waste, and this technology was brought forward then, but it just wasn't what it is now. They have really perfected it and tweaked it, and it is going to be very groundbreaking what I think it's going to do and what it's going to do for Putnam County. It's we're going to have people coming here from all over the country to see what we've done. We have a what would you call that machine? A little starter kit machine, Jay?
Prototype. It's a prototype.
A prototype, yeah. We got a little baby one, and but it does 5 tons a day. That's what it's set up to do. And once I think it's up and roaring, and you know we've got a chance to really set the world on fire when we put in some bigger ones there that can handle more of this. And there's some really good things, and I won't say much more about it, that are on the horizon for Putnam County and our waste handling in the future. And I'm very excited about that. Some very extreme cost savings to our taxpayers. So it's big news.
Great comments. Thank you. Commissioner Newbold, you're recognized.
Yeah, well, I hope we're not going to set the world on fire in the process.
He said, I hope we're not setting the world on fire.
But
I think he meant literally.
when we talk about that byproduct, the idea of that byproduct is that is a saleable product.
That's right.
And, you know, in the end, we would have the goal of reducing the cost to our taxpayers for solid waste. So that's one of the goals in the process if this comes to fruition. So not only could it bring, you know, more money to our general fund, that will hopefully yield us lower taxes. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope this comes to fruition. Thank you.
Commissioner Alexander, you're recognized.
Just to be clear on this, for the public's general knowledge, we were being looked at as well as other counties throughout the state, most of which are more affluent than we are, but we were selected due to the fact that we were easy to work with and embraced the opportunity to provide a better living for our community. And we couldn't do that without the group of commissioners we have sitting here and the group of staff to my left and that trash master in the back, Mr. Jay Tilton. He brought the technology to us and the opportunity, and he has spearheaded that all the way through the process. So even if it doesn't work, it is a testament to the team that we've got up here and we've got established as far as our staff. So thank you guys.
Before we move forward, I know we have a motion. We have a motion a second, right? Before we call the vote, just for clarity, what is the funding source of this?
This is still all within the allocated $3 million RIF grant from Commerce.
Okay, which is a state-funded grant.
That's correct, Department of Commerce.
Okay, so no local tax dollars have we expended from our budget?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, all right. With that, we have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign, motion carries. All right, going into new business, item number 9. Is that,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr., who was doing this?
I'll take it, Madam Chair.
All right.
We're here today due to the fact that we have to move forward with getting some funding agreements approved for moving forward to mitigate some issues in the wetlands out at the Pico Road boat ramp. This stemmed from an inspection from June 10th by DEP. Per the inspection, they found that we had done some work within and adjacent to the wetlands at the boat ramp. So we're working in cooperation with DEP to mitigate the issues out there and bring the wetland issue back into compliance with the county.
All right. All right. Are there any questions from the board or any comments? Commissioner Alexander, you're recognized.
I make a motion that we approve the FDEP compliance funding for Pico Boat Ramp at the tune of $25,175.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I do have to ask some questions in looking at this. When I look at the letter, it says from DEP and the inspection date, June 10th, it says significant non-compliance. And then it has some comments on page 203 about how this came to be an issue. So my question is, first of all, my first comment would be this board didn't collegiately vote prior to today on doing any work at Pico Road that would constitute a violation of filling in a wetland. So that's concerning to me. So my question is, was a work order called in, or how did we get to the point that we now have to spend $25,000 of taxpayers' money to mitigate for something that this board didn't approve? So I'm not sure who wants to answer that or how that wants to be handled. I have questions.
I'll attempt to address the question, Madam Chair. Not every activity is a board approval, but I understand where you're coming from with this one because we did do work within the mitigated wetlands. This work was performed by Public Works.
Okay.
So, if Public Works has any further information, the only thing that I have to date is I have a work order that shows that work was done on December 15th, 22nd, and 29th of last year.
Okay.
And it was performed by Public Works. And then a complaint was filed with the Office of Inspector General. And then the subsequent site visit by DEP, I believe, on June 10th.
Okay, so when I look at this work order, who's the requester of the work order? And is this how we standardly do business, as people, we don't have who the requester is?
I do not, but if you want to address those questions, Public Works, we can do that, but I do not have an answer for that.
Okay, I would. And so you're saying we had 3 site visits?
I'm showing that the work order showed that there was work performed on those 3 particular weeks.
Okay, so who requested this work to be done at Pico Boat Ramp?
Commissioner Alexander reached out asking if we could do any work in that area to open up that area anymore. Justin Bridges, he's my road supervisor, he input the work order, failed to put in the commissioner's name, but he did make it an actioned item. Every work order that we put in for a commissioner, we always make an actioned item. So this one, just for whatever reason, he inadvertently forgot to put in Commissioner Alexander's name.
Okay, so when I look at the work order, it has 3 dump trucks on here, and then it has fill dirt. 10, I'm assuming that's 10 yards. What is that?
Yes, 10 yards of fill dirt that he may have brought in. They used the dump trucks mainly to remove debris
Okay.
that was taken off of site. They had to use equipment to get some of that stuff off, and he rutted up the property. And so he brought in a little bit of dirt to just finish it off, to make it look finished and not rutted up.
Okay, so that was the purpose of the dirt? Okay, and then did we cut, and it looked like that in the supporting documents that we had previously met, somebody had previously met with the water management, and that maybe we were allowed to cut some things, but nothing over 4 inches in diameter at breast height?
At breast height, correct.
Okay, did we do that?
We cut some other things that were larger. One was a tree that was right at the edge that was hanging over power lines that was already dead. And so they took that down. DEP said that that was fine because it caused an endangerment
Okay.
to the public. But then there were other things that inadvertently were cut.
Okay, and we didn't pull any permits?
No, ma'am. We weren't required to at the time. They said we didn't need a permit to do the work because we had met on site.
Well, you didn't to do the work that you had planned to do, but then it sounded like that. It sounds like in this inspection that you did more than what was what you said you were going to do.
Bringing in the fill dirt was one of the things they said that, should not have happened. Justin didn't know to not bring that. He just tried to make it look better than leaving the ruts in the property.
And the dirt was to fill that in?
Right.
And what was the justification for taking out larger trees? Well, he said the one dead one, but
Yeah, the dead
that
one,
was it?
That was it.
Okay. All right.
There were other ones on the property that were cut that were too large, and the guys made a mistake.
Okay. Well, we cannot sit here and say that we didn't know that we didn't need a permit. Because historically, I mean, I have emails that from April 7th that says that we knew that we needed a permit if we did anything more than cutting those trees. So that's the issue that we have in front of us today. Commissioner Pelletier, you're recognized.
Mr. Tout, didn't you just say y'all met on site and you got verbal permission? Did I hear that, or did I not hear that?
Correct. You heard that.
Okay.
You got verbal permission to put dirt in and you put
Just
heavy
on the-
equipment and cut more than 4 inches in diameter?
Only on the 4 inches.
Exactly. That's the issue.
Right.
Okay.
But you were asking about a permit, and he said he got verbal permission to do, yes, they might have overdone it by accident or whatever, but he had verbal permission before they ever started work. Is that correct?
For the 4-inch diameter of breast height, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Verbal and written permission from the Water Management District for 4 inches and less at breast height.
I understand that, and I'm not arguing that. I mean, the issue is exactly what the DEP letter says, which is that we did more than what we were supposed to do, what we were permitted to do through the on-site visit and we cut trees bigger than 4 inches in diameter, we put dirt in, and we put heavy equipment in a wetland.
Correct.
We just can't deny that. And so that when we look at that, significant non-compliance is what the inspection says. So in the inspection letter, it says 2 truckloads of fill dirt were brought in. But now we're saying it's 1?
10 yards, which is 2 of our small trucks, just the work trucks. They're
Okay.
only the 5-yard trucks.
Okay. All right. Well, it also states in here that, in the letter from DEP, that we've violated 2 Florida statutes and a rule, and now we're spending $25,000 on an engineer, on an environmental person to tell us what we got to do to fix it, and we don't know, and then are we going to get permit? Are there going to be, we haven't applied for a permit, so do we know that if we're going to have any fines related to this?
They did not mention any fines when we were on site and had the on-site meeting regarding the complaint. As long as we go through their steps with them, we agreed no work would be conducted on site until the environmentalists told us what to do. DEP agreed they would permit whatever we needed to permit, and they were very willing to work with us through their steps.
Okay, so I just have to ask the question, was Commissioner Alexander on site during these visits?
During which visits?
The three work order visits?
He
On
was
12,
on.
15, 12, whatever they are, 22 and 29.
Talking about when the DEP was there?
No, the three
site.
work orders. Were you there whenever they were putting the equipment, when the equipment was in the wetlands and they were bringing in dirt?
I can't speak to that. I did ride by after the work was done, and I was there while they were working, but I don't remember the dirt being there. I know they were there with weed eaters and a clearing crew.
Okay. Did you give, since we're going down this road, did you give staff direct, because the allegation that's made, so just clear this up right now. The allegation that's made is that you directed the staff to put the dirt in the wetlands and to cut things that were bigger than they were supposed to, than we were permitted to.
I did not.
Okay?
I cannot give direction.
You can.
I
You
cannot
certainly
I
can.
cannot give direction to anyone other than the one person that
You're
works
not
for us.
supposed to, but you can. And then what happens is we end up in situations like this, so I'm making sure, I want you to say whether you did or not. So if you're saying you didn't, you didn't.
I make a motion to call the question.
Okay,
Second?
what's the question?
I make a motion to call the question and move forward with the vote.
All right. Is there any other comment on this discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No. 4-1. Item number 2, Florida Power and Light easement.
Yes, ma'am, that one's mine. So this is the fairgrounds easement. This is giving Florida Power and Light the easement to run the new power line to the new fairgrounds building, which they have to run a new power line from basically the Yelvington Road side of the fairgrounds over to the new building. And this is giving them easement to have the underground power installed. It's going to be, it has to cross if you currently know where I guess be the north gate close to Yelvington Road where the livestock used to go in. We do have to put one pole across that to make over, and then it'll go underground from there to the new building. And this is just an easement to give them permission to access their equipment and their power line over time.
Okay.
This is standard. I mean, we do this quite often for easements on our property to supply power.
All right, Commissioner Harvey, you recognize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sure that you said it's going to go up and over at that gate.
Yes, sir. It's just one pole length up and over so that they can get down to a straight shot to the new building.
And they're going to put it high enough where it doesn't affect the cattle coming in and out.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. It'll be whatever their minimum clearance is for power lines.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
I'd move what we allow the Florida Power and Light easement as outlined.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C.
I got you, JT. You don't have to walk all the way back up. This is us bringing in acceptance of right-of-way deeds for lot splits that occurred on Bellamy Road. So as we're cleaning up the lot splits in the area, these are just the acceptance of the deeds.
All right. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I move approval of resolution number 2026-057, acceptance of right-of-way deed for a portion of Bellamy Road and Melrose.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, second. Any further comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, item D.
And item D was be the Milliken Road. This is the rest of the North Putnam drainage easements that we needed to complete the North Putnam drainage project. This is I think the last three, if that's correct, Mr. Stout, that we needed for us to have the easements for the work we're performing on the North Putnam drainage.
All right, any questions?
I move that we accept the right-of-way deed for Bellamy Road.
No.
Milliken.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Milliken.
Milliken Road. I'm on the wrong one. Apologies. Milliken Road.
Milliken Road. All right.
And that's resolution 2026-058. I second that.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 10. Public comment on miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board It is not reasonably expected the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed at the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting to the deputy clerk who sits to the right of the podium. Thank you. I also want to take a minute to recognize Tyler Nolan from the Northeast Florida Regional Council. Thank you for being with us today.
Is that where we say, welcome to the Florida? No.
Welcome to Putnam County.
So they do it at the Florida House, right?
Mr. Vet Reyes.
Glad you called me first because I got to get her home. Yvette Reyes, P.O. Box 253, Boswick. Oops, sorry, guys. This little guy, this little guy is named Putnam.
Oh, my goodness.
He survived, I don't know if he or she, but we're going to call him he. He survived the conveyor belt and the rollers at the landfill yesterday and was brought to me to further try to help it live. That's one of my points. My second point is thank you for the proclamation for OD awareness. Losing a loved one is hard as it is, but losing them to overdose is a different kind of pain. I've been there, and that's why I'm wearing my purple to support. I thank Nancy for her initiative and how she moves this forward for awareness. In the state of Florida, we've had 63,000 that have passed away from overdose. It can happen at any time. We have accidental overdose because we have the opiates, right? We get pain pills. The pain's not so excruciating, we take one after the other, we don't know, we end up in an overdose. So thank you for that. My second thing, you don't know what you don't know is my favorite line. Back to continuum of care, not beating a dead horse. We have 3 agencies, Task Force, AKA Keys to Home, AKA Continuum of Care. They are all one and the same. Don't let them fool you. They use the 3 names so that they can dip into the 3 different buckets to get the money. They got the money this year. RISE applied for 2 grants. They were denied. The money was given to Alachua entities. Lee Conley got money supposedly for street outreach. Lee Conley does not do street outreach. Lee Conley does not approach people to say, are you a domestic violence victim? So the money that the COC gave to Lee Conley for street outreach should not have gone to that. I'm just putting it out there. I have emails. If anybody is interested in receiving these emails from the direct questions that I have asked Kiana Johnson and Jacob Turner, who are the ones running these 3 agencies, I will be gladly to share it with everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hayden Harrington.
Good morning or afternoon, everybody. Hayden Harrington, 102 Tuscaloosa Road, San Mateo. Come before you today to invite you to the open house and grand opening of Silver Bay. That is Putnam County and Palatka, Florida's newest active 55-plus manufactured home community. That's a mouthful. But if you're familiar with Villa Farms, we're essentially building a new Villa Farms. So we now have 100 home lots. And it was my understanding that the Chamber of Commerce had extended this invitation to you. However, we just wanted to come before you today and personally invite you to that open house. It's going to be September 10th, 5:30 p.m. At 7110 Old Wolf Bay Road, Palatka, Florida, right out there by the hospital.
5:30?
5:30, yes, sir. So I got several invitations. I'll just leave them right here, and hopefully they can be distributed, but we'd love to have everyone who's interested in coming come out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mike Godfrey.
Mike Godfrey, 133 Ben Oak, Pomona Park.
If you would get near that microphone, get as close as you can to that microphone.
Moved here 3 years ago and bought a house on Ben Oak. And then as I went along, I got called to unlock the gate to my road. My road don't have a gate. Come to find out, Ben Oak is not where Ben Oak's supposed to be, and it was locked off. And that's just part of the problem, because as we go on through this situation, Mr. Newball told me today that he spoke with Apple Maps, and now 911 can find us. It's a mess down there. And also Apple Maps had trucks, commercial trucks coming down what's called Ben Oak Drive, but it's they said it was Taylor Fury. So they come down, we just did $750 worth of work on the road. They come down and get hung in the corner and just wallow it out. So I was not happy about that. But I do want you to reflect back. I've been here 3 years. I've watched 3 house fires. 2 of them burnt to the ground. 1 of them was saved because the wind was blowing in their favor. That's the only reason. But to find out that I've been here 3 years without emergency services, without 911, without police protection, and it's still going on. We've been working on it for a while. And so I said, you know, when things don't go your way, sometimes you just have to go and figure out what's wrong. So I went and pulled y'all's maps. These are your section maps. There's 4 problems on these maps that's going to cause problems for anybody that gets in trouble where I live. And I don't want to get into a whole lot. It needs to be straightened out. It's been, for me, it's been 2.5 years since I found out. I wasn't on the road that I was bought a house on. It's all goofed up, messed up. Moving the sign's not going to fix it, because there's 4 more directions you can go once you come in that way. So you're still going to have confusion. But the county's holding a stick of dynamite. And if somebody dies of a heart attack, their house burns down, or they need the police and they can't find them, I spent my time to come here today to let each and every one of you know that it's a problem. It needs to be resolved. I put a redneck sign up to keep the people from sending commercial trucks down and tearing the road up so we could get in and out. That's working. Didn't go over real good with my neighbors, but it kept them from tearing the road up. If you want to know what the problem is, Mr. Newball's got my number.
Go ahead.
I've been working with Mr. Godfrey. He called me a year ago, and we started this process. There is a mess down in their neighborhood. It started out with the county road Bent Oak sign. It's a private road, but there's a sign coming off Lake Como Drive. There's an issue in that right-of-way. A private landowner, which that easement went across, closed it off. Did a lot of background research, looked into the right-of-ways. It's all messed up. In that particular area, Taylor Fury Drive comes off of Lake Como Drive, and it runs over to Lake Como proper. If you put in their address, you really can't get there. It is so ambiguous as to get to their home that I worry that fire safety won't find them. They've been preaching this and trying to get it done for a while, and we are moving in the right direction. If you put their address in on Apple Maps, you'll get there. You put it in on Google Maps, you won't get there. And there's an old closed down road. It will run you in a circle. Their neighbors have had construction trucks, every kind of delivery truck stuck. It's just a mess. But I'm sorry it's such a slow process. Mr. Baker is here, and we have folks from IT. I spoke with them earlier as well. Maybe putting you directly in touch with them may be a more efficient process. We'll get to a resolution of it, but it's happening at a glacial pace, and I apologize for it. But and the last time we spoke, I got with our GIS professional, and she did get with our 911 program and made special notes in there that if you are in this neighborhood, these are the instructions you must use. So I feel comfortable that that process will happen, but that's not going to help you with the general everyday, delivery. And it is a mess. I mean, those roads are known by different names, and there's a lot of cleanup that can happen, and I feel like we'll get there. But right now, because your private roads are all messed up because the mapping program sends you the wrong way. I don't know if we can help with that, but we can look into it and see.
Commissioner Alexander, you're recognized.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around what's going on. So I haven't seen it on the map or the GIS, but so we have basically a spaghetti pile of roads down there that are private roads, and they conflict with the property boundaries, and we're in the process of trying to iron that out so we can have an accurate map. Or
well, I'm still not perfectly clear, and we don't have the right-of-way specialist here today. But she's done quite a bit of research, and that, I think, is going to end up being a civil matter between landowners out there and that right-of-way.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
You'll have to please come to the podium, because we're in public record, and we need to have things on public record.
My neighbor had it in civil court, and I said, well, it's in civil court, it's going to work out. So I kind of just laid it down. I said, I'll let this play out. He come in, he said, we won. They opened the road up. They opened the gates up for 2 weeks. Then somebody ruled that court didn't have the authority to make that ruling, so they closed it back down. This is where I live, guys. This is what I live with. And, like I said, it is very assuring that at least one of the map services can find us on 911. But other than that, there is no joy whatsoever in this situation. It really needs attention. It's all right here. Just call me. We'll go over it. We can get to it. It ain't gonna be like just go put one sign over here and the problem's resolved. That ain't gonna work. Because there's a lot of people that lives down there and the road goes in 3 different directions.
Well, I would suggest that you and I and some staff get together and try to come to a solution.
I would love to work with you guys because I would love to bring this to an end. I enjoy my home. I enjoy the county, but my home's getting to where it's a bad taste every day as this goes on and on. It's 3 years now.
Mr. Grimes, you're recognized.
So so everybody knows, we don't use Apple Maps, okay? We have a CAD addressing program, and their addresses, I'll get the rest of them, but I asked Mr. Ritchie, we can put a CAD note for the police and fire with specific directions, so that we can absolutely add CAD notes. I just need the addresses that are there. So you said yours is 135?
133.
133, okay. So if you can just include all the addresses, we'll get it put in our 911 system so you can rest assured that the fire trucks and ambulances and police officers will be able to find you, because we don't use the everyday maps, right? And it would come up, it would pop up with a note at our dispatch center, says there's a special note, and it could say, you have to access the property off of Taylor Fury. So we can do that. So if you'll just give me your addresses of you and your neighbors that are affected by it, we'll get those notes. Mr. Ritchie said as soon as they found out about it, you guys' address is already in it. So we can add additional CAD notes or specific directions on how to get the first responders to you.
Well, the other thing with that is if the Google Maps can be corrected to keep the commercial trucks from coming down and getting stuck on the road, that too is another problem. If you go out and you got to go somewhere, or maybe you got a doctor's appointment, or maybe you're sick, and you come out and there's a commercial truck buried halfway to the axles on your road, there ain't no way out.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in process. Our county staff has made several requests to them now. They've done it as a county, hoping that will be priority, but they have not resolved this specific one yet.
Well, like I said, guys, it's been 3 years, and I'm just way, way over it. So Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
you.
Mr. Tim Hoteling.
Wow, that last one makes our troubles look like nothing. Anyhow, Tim Hoteling, 105 Riverside Drive, San Mateo. I was sitting here watching or listening to the good stuff about housing for the people in the county, and I came to think that bass like to have houses also. We haven't had any eelgrass in the St. Johns River for now pushing 7 years. St. Johns River is a key and critical component with the income, bass tours and all the tournaments and all of that. It involves, what, five counties that it goes through, rural counties, all in the same kettle of fish that have to get caught in Astor and get drug up to the Palaca and then unceremoniously dumped and said, go have a nice swim. Sorry on that tangent. My request to you is when you all go to your Tallahassee and when you talk to lobbyists, add to your agendas, fix the St. Johns River. Because I've been working with trying to work with all of the alphabet agencies that are supposed to be bringing our underwater gardens back to the river, that provide the housing for the bass and everything else. And I can safely say there is no plan. There's a lot of people with a lot of opinions, and most of them don't wash, but there is no plan together. And the only way that I can see that anything will happen is if you all and the other small counties put it on your legislative agenda to tell Tallahassee to do more than they gave away $2 million for planting eelgrass up the river, and their agenda was if you had I think it was a quarter acre that had grass, that was successful for $1 million. They didn't have grass that was successful, but they still pay people to go out and plant grass. Please, when you talk to your legislators, remember that the bass need a house too.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on public comment on miscellaneous items? Come on up.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'm Mal. I am not a resident of Putnam County, but I serve the most vulnerable residents of Putnam County and try to advocate for them as best as I can. I'm a street outreach worker, again with Grace Marketplace. Grace is a low barrier shelter in Gainesville, Florida, that has outreach teams to meet people where they're at. For me, that means working with folks on the streets of Palaca, Crescent City, on the dirt roads and woods of Interlochen, mobile homes with no power, water, light, or sanitation, community centers, or really anywhere Ms. Sheila will send me. We work to find folks housing, and we work to supply basic needs, support, and resources. I came in support of Ms. Sheila McCoy's shelter initiative for RISE. I have firsthand experienced the barriers folks on the streets face when trying to get into housing. Often my clients need to relocate to other cities in order to get the services they need with little other options. I realize the shelter initiative will take time and resources to plan and put together. I also wanted to bring up the matter of a cold night shelter. Hypothermia and its side effects can start affecting people as warm as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. People that are living on the streets are particularly vulnerable to hypothermia. They don't have access to health care or resources to prevent the life-threatening weather-related conditions. This in turn leads to an added strain on hospital facilities, first responders, including EMTs and police officers who try to treat these cases as much as they can. The main concern, from what I've noticed, is the lack of regularity of a cold night shelter. Many of the folks I work with do not have phones or a way to hear public announcements other than word of mouth. The location of a cold night shelter often changes, making it difficult for people to know where to go when temperatures drop. When the cold comes, I hope that the county and the cities within it will take into consideration that cold night shelters need to be accessible, consistent, and open for folks living on the streets. When temperatures drop below 35 degrees, which I believe is your threshold, people on the streets will know where exactly the cold night shelter will be, that it is indeed open that night, and that they are welcome regardless of their circumstances. I understand it doesn't really feel like the cold will overcome with this heat that we have right now, but I think we can start planning and advocating now as best we can. I thank you for your consideration time. If you ever see me on the streets talking to folks, please feel free to say hi. You have the support from Grace, the shelter, and Outreach, and other communities providers if you need it. So, thank you.
I have a question. Whenever you find somebody on the street and you're trying to connect them to resources, if there is availability at Grace, how do you get them there?
Great question. So it's all based on what they would like. So I offer them a lot of different ways. So for people that are on the streets, a lot of them are not too happy in a shelter environment, just to be honest. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of things going on. So I will offer that as something if they would like it. If they do not like that, I can still work with them while they're on the streets doing case management and working on housing. Now, when we get people over to shelter, we usually utilize the Ride Solutions bus, but that has some barriers as well because there are people that cannot read or write, so reading a bus schedule, especially a little bit of a complicated one, can be difficult. Getting people, for example, from Crescent City to Palaca in order to get the Gainesville bus is a barrier. So that's usually what we try on, and then sometimes I call for a Hail Mary from random people in the community and try to get them a ride that way. Lately we had the community paramedicine program transport somebody to shelter that was in Crescent City because there was no other option. So but yes, that's usually what we do.
Okay, and you just answered one of my questions. So you have a good working relationship with our community paramedicine program?
Yes, ma'am. It is. I think it's very important to have those relationships with first responders in particular, because they're the people that are responding to people in crisis on the streets.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Commissioner Harvey, you had your button. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on miscellaneous items? All right, hearing that, we'll close that. Commissioner Committee update, starting with Commissioner Alexander. All right, Commissioner Newbold.
Well, I got my first experience with the canvassing board. That has been an education. It's been a good education. It's eye-opening to see that process in place and the meticulousness that goes along with the whole election process. So I appreciate being able to serve in that capacity. I really don't have anything else as far as committee updates.
All right. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Friday, the Value Adjustment Board met, and I was named the chairman, and Commissioner Alexander is the vice chair by default because the commissioners can only serve in those realms. But that's a very interesting board. It's our board. It's not the property appraisers board. It's ours to hold up the values of the county, and so we'll be meeting again in October and November and hearing any applications that are out there. So if you dispute your values, there is an application process through the property appraiser and the clerk of the court, and you can get those forms. There is a fee. It's a modest fee set by the legislators to do that. So we encourage anybody who disputes their property values to do that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Commissioner Pelletier.
I have none.
All right. And I have none. We talked about the SHIP program today, so that was great. All right, appointments, starting with Commissioner Alexander.
Yes, ma'am. I've got On the Fair Board, one of my members is experiencing some health issues and has planned on doing some upcoming travel, so I would like to remove Martin Birdall, and in his position, I would like to appoint Malcolm Fabry.
All right.
And that is all I have.
Commissioner Newbold.
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey.
Right now, Madam Chair, but I have none.
All right. Commissioner Pelletier.
I have none.
Okay. And I have none. All right. Going into comments, Clerk of Courts.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just as an update, our teen court program will be going live with the start of school coming back in. So we're looking at a tentative date of September 17th, Thursday night, to be the first one, as long as we get some cases, which I'm sure we will. So just wanted to keep you guys abreast of that. And that's all I have.
And we fund that through our county commission.
Yes, so there's a funding source. It's split 4 ways. One of the ways that it can be used for is for juvenile programs, and that's we're starting up the teen court using those funds that are available through that.
Okay. All right. Commissioner comments, starting with Commissioner Harvey. Oh, I'm sorry. I've missed County Attorney. County Attorney. I was just going down the line. County Attorney.
I didn't have anything today.
All right. Thank you for your work on the moratorium.
Yeah.
County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could take just a moment, I know you've already recognized Mr. Tyler Nolan sitting in the audience today from the Northeast Regional Council, but I just want to personally say thank you to Tyler. You know, Tyler oversees the leadership class. It's an 8-month program, and he does a wonderful job with that. I don't know how many people we started with. I think we got about 30 or so in the class, and he does a wonderful job putting on the events and putting us in different locations. So Tyler, thank you for that. And it's kind of bittersweet also, as tomorrow is the last class of this year. So, but I do want to say thank you to Tyler. He's done a great job with that, and I've really enjoyed it, and we've been able to bring back some good info. So thank you, Tyler. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right. Anybody else on the administration side have anything? Any updates? All right, going back to Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to bring up one thing. In my district, we've had some, as you've heard me say, the tables are really down in the lakes. And I'm going to be asking the board right now if we can reach out to FDEP to look at some boat ramp improvements. George's Lake for one, Grandin Lake and Bull Green Lake. There seems to be, since the water has went down really bad, there's some big holes that have been wallowed out. And I don't know if we could fix it, but I think it would be good for us to at least contact DEP and ask them if they would, by letter, if they would look at those and see what we could do within our scope. We do have a spider that could possibly do some work, but again, you're going to be working inside the wetlands, inside the lake, and I don't know how much they would allow that to be done, but I am getting calls about that. So I would ask that the board allow us to write a letter to DEP naming those 3 lakes, or if there's any more areas we want to do, and see if DEP would allow us to do any work in there before we spend any money whatsoever.
And you mean work, you're just meaning like mowing, or what? I mean, what are you saying?
We have a spider, and years ago, and it has been done, where they actually went into canals and cleaned them out in some of the areas. I'm thinking if we could take that spider and clean up some of where the boats launch and cover up some of those holes. But again, I don't know how far we could go out. I don't know the neighborhood of that. I don't know the breadth of what DEP would allow. You're talking about in the lake at that point, and they might say, no, there's no more work that could be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would behoove us, and our citizens are asking if we could at least, write a letter asking if they would look at it and give us an opinion of it.
Ms. Young, you're recognized.
So it may be we have an opportunity, traditionally, through Parks and Recs, we sign maintenance agreements. Traditionally, we have an agreement standing with Florida Fish and Wildlife via DEP that essentially the water level down is their responsibility to maintain and the water level up is ours. Now, we Public Works was actually able to correct the ramp at Bull Green, but it may be a conversation that we can have with them about their activities in maintaining those areas as well concurrently.
I'm fine with whoever we need to reach out with, I would be fine with that as long as the board supports that idea.
So, a question, do they have to be public lakes accessible by public, or what if they're private lakes?
Everything that I have agreements with FWC via is a public access point, so yes.
And they do have them.
And that's what those are?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not familiar with all of
Yes.
those.
They all have
All of
public-
these are part of our Parks and Rec system
correct.
boat ramps.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Is there a wave of support from the board in supporting that?
Absolutely.
Everybody's good
Yeah.
with it? Okay.
Thank you. And I want to give kudos, as Commissioner Palacier says, attaboys, I'll say kudos. You heard some mention about a homeless gentleman, and I got one of the highest compliments I think ever paid to me as a commissioner the other day. The mayor of Crescent City and a councilwoman, Mrs. DeVito, and Miss Myers were sitting around. They had this homeless gentleman, and they said, let's call Larry Harvey. I know that sounds trite, and I don't mean that, but it's nice to be thought of when there's a problem, and that's what the business we're in. There's problems, and we should try to solve those problems. So the homeless guy needed a ride, and they explained to me what the problem was, trying to get him to the marketplace, Grace Marketplace in Crescent City. And I immediately reached out to Mr. Suggs and to J.R. Grimes. And within just a few minutes, the answer came back that our community paramedicine program could take this gentleman over there. That it's about relationships in this business, and it's about who holds the light, who has the map, and who has the shovel. If you know those three people in life, whenever that situation arises. But our staff works very hard, and during election season, all kinds of misinformation is sent out. And I think that's what bothers me the most. Our staff works hard for all citizens of Putnam County, no matter what their social economic profile is. It doesn't matter. You go back, I always say, you go back in the back room and they're talking about the most minute thing that can help somebody, or the biggest thing that can help everybody. That's what there's about. So I want to give kudos to our staff, Mr. Suggs, J.R. Grimes, who really stepped up on this, and the gentleman, I did understand, got over to where he was going. I don't think it worked out for him, but that's okay. Our job is to get him there. And I did mention this to the two people that called me, that Commissioner Alexander has been working with Ride Solutions on some alternative funding type programs. And you've mentioned it from your seat. We've mentioned faith-based organizations being a part. We mentioned vouchers. We really could enhance that program tremendously if they would reach out and do the things that they need to do. So I would encourage Commissioner Alexander to bring that back. This gentleman got left behind, but truly there's churches, and my church is one of them, that would give money for a voucher program to get people the help they need when they need it. And we hear constantly about transportation is the biggest thing. And then my final thing I want to say is primary election ended, and I was successful, and thank you very much to the citizens of Putnam County who chose me to go on to be the Republican nominee, and I'll be meeting the Democrat and the MPA in November for the general election. I do think experience matters, and I just thank the citizens of Putnam County for allowing me that opportunity. Madam Chair, that is the end of my comments. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Alexander, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Harvey, I appreciate the kind words. And as you know, I am working on something in the background that hopefully will help out our community and others. I'm very excited about it. Not everything that we do is visible. And sometimes people say, well, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. Well, part of it is we want to get some substance to what we're working on before we share it, because, to me, people go, we've got to keep that momentum going. We don't want to take in somebody to steal our idea and apply it to another community. So we've got some good things in the works. I had a couple of items. We talked about the water out at your area, and that kind of spurs the conversation that we've had regarding our boil water notice in East Palatka. I've had a business owner reach out to me, and she has lost a significant amount of money, she hasn't lost, she has had to spend a significant amount of money to provide ice and bottled water for her restaurant, as well as the other constituents in the area. It's cost them money. And this is not 100% an act of God. And I would like to ask that our commissioners potentially allow staff to look at some type of discount for this month to offset the lost revenue for those folks and the lost household income that they have incurred for this bottled water notice. Mr. Grimes, can you speak to that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we had some...
Mr. Pass that one off.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever the board's will and direction is. I just don't want us to get into every time we have a boil water notice as we sit here and have to manually punch, because, I mean, that's what it's going to take is an undertaking of our staff, manually punching every single water bill in the East Putnam Regional. It's not like we could just apply a blanket to anything, so everything has to be read, has to be manually punched. So, I mean, we did have an issue at the water plant. It was nothing that was really out of control crazy. I mean, we just struggled with some chlorine residuals, but I mean, we got the problem resolved after the guys had found out what the issue was when we had to go to the boil water. The boil water wasn't active, it was computer, right? A computer took a glitch and shut the water plant down and the dialer didn't work, right? So, but that's all being actively resolved at the moment. So we'll do whatever the board wishes to do. I just don't want to get into every time that something happens, so somebody hits a fire hydrant and causes pressure loss in the area, that we got to go through and manually adjust everybody's bills. If there's something the board would like to do on this go round, I'll support. We'll do whatever you guys want us to do as a collective body. We don't have the ability as staff, unless you give Mr. Suggs the authority, to start waiving prices and whatever the tolerance is. But I mean, we'll do whatever the board would support.
Okay. Before I ask for the support from the board, is the technology and the system that we're using reaching its end of useful life? Is that something we might need to budget for down the road, or where are we at on that?
Well, so we had a CPU failure when the dialer didn't work. The PO's been issued to the vendor to as of this morning to rebuild that CPU. Some of it does come back to the end of useful life, but I mean, we've worked steadily to try to improve it. We finally found the vendor that originally wrote the programs, and that was a problem. Is a lot of times when we buy these softwares, the program in and outs, when we call it pump one, if we buy a generic scenario, it renames everything and it clashes with our system. So we found the person that originally wrote it. So we were able to engage them this morning to rewrite the program to where it actually functions with our SCADA system. Mm-hmm. So that is in the process now of completely upgrading the software and stuff for us to move forward in the future at the water plant. So, but I mean, everything else, I mean, everything has a useful lifetime, right? And I mean, this system was approaching 20 years old. So, I mean, it's just about that time for we to upgrade it, and we've issued the purchase order to go ahead and upgrade it.
Great. That's great to hear. I know that, when I was in the mechanical contracting industry, we had multiple control systems, and the majority of them were proprietary at that point in time, and you could purchase an interface that would allow the different systems to communicate with each other, but many times it was as costly as a new system.
So we want to remember is we put this out for bid, mm-hmm. And as in our world, we get stuck with the low bidder, yes, and we don't get to always pick who should do it. So we engaged, and they were unable to perform. So as the last 6 months, as we've been waiting for the vendor to perform the low bid by our requirements, we finally got an option of how to move away from them. I mean, we've sit there and tried that interface. The interface did not work. They tried it, and I mean, that's where we ended up where we are today, as it was we waited for this day, and I mean, we just had to get a route to get where we are. So I mean, we're there now, and the problem should be resolved in the future.
That's great information, man. A lot of times our constituents, they just see a problem and they don't know that we're working on a solution in the background. That now you've shared that, what was going on and where we were at and how we were overcoming the issues that we had. Thank you. So my question to the board, I've got this, and then I want to make a small presentation before I'm done with my comments, but would the board be willing to engage in a discount for those residents that were financially affected by this boil water notice due to faulty technology?
How many days were we out?
I think we haven't got cleared yet.
We're at day 6 today, if that includes the weekend. I mean, but we should have results back sometime this morning. I would think we'd have positive results back this morning.
So you're saying 6 days?
Yes, ma'am.
But, so are you referring to, Commissioner Alexander, just this time that we're in now, or things that have occurred in the past?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Just this occurrence and nothing, no discounts moving forward for acts of God or anything like that. But truly, we had some other issues that complicated this outage. And I think that it would be fair to provide some type of relief to those businesses and those residences that were affected by this.
So are you thinking like a
Percentage.
Okay, not like 6 days worth of water that they would have used?
Well, the thing is, the costs incurred are greater than 6 days worth of water.
Well, sure.
Just for example, one business that has contacted me has had to spend almost $3,000 to bring ice and water to their business. And I said, well, what's your typical water bill from the county? Because they have their own ice makers and everything. She says, $2,400. So in 6 days, she spent over $400 more than her typical monthly bill. So it wouldn't be fair, in my opinion, to offer them a 6-day discount.
Okay.
It probably would need to be a greater discount based on a percentage. So that's a question I would leave up to staff to see what they felt was equitable for the losses incurred. But if they would, if the board approves it, I would like to task staff with bringing back a proposal for a discount on that.
I think there's a time, I mean, if you're wanting it to equate to this outage, go ahead, Ms. Young.
So traditionally, a best practice, if we're going to take and allocate a discount, would be to take your billing days and determine how many days you're wanting to discount for, right? If we said the first day is act of God and traditional in work, then at this point, assuming positive results today, you would be left with 5 days. If your billing cycle is 27 days, we would take 5 of 27 and provide that % discount to all customers. And that may be, you know, obviously I didn't do the math, but obviously we can figure out what it is, 18, 19% for the billing cycle, essentially. And if the board wants to move forward with that, then we need to determine after the initial break, right, which is something that happens as an act of God, at what point are we trying to discount? And then we would we would not make a final % until we get confirmation that everything is good to go and to resume normal operations. If it happens to be tomorrow, then we would add another day, essentially, to calculate that discount for each customer.
But you're wanting, Commissioner Alexander, you're asking for whatever the number is. Let's say it was 15% to be applied across the board.
15, 25.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey, Mr. Grimes, your button?
Yeah, I just read it. I just pushed it whenever Commissioner Harvey mentioned about the transportation of the person. That I don't want any credit for that, right? That was a phone call to this community paramedics. Those folks are phenomenal. I made one phone call to the community paramedics, or matter of fact, I made it to Deputy Chief Hitchcock. She called. What you got to remember is the guy that actually transported him was not even on duty that day, right? The other community paramedic found him. They have a hard time leaving the county because they have a workload that's keeping them here, and they're visiting patients and seeing things throughout the day. So he actually left home, got in a spare county vehicle, and went and picked the person up and took him. So it was way beyond what everybody sees happening. I can't take any credit for it. I just made a phone call, and I just asked them, I said, can we just take a lot of people out of this chain and just put the person on the ground in contact with that person, which helped tremendously, because I was getting it from 8 different directions by everybody and their brother that had called about this seat. And it was just very nice to be able to say, okay, guys, we got it from here, right? Just let us take it. And we did. Now the guy's back. It didn't work out for him. That's fine. And our folks have actually going to go back out and see him and find out what didn't work, right? And we're going to get it from a very hands-on perspective of what didn't go right. So, and then I think we could be able to bring that back as what didn't go right. Because a lot of this stuff is identified as we keep doing these things and something's not working. So these folks, Cameron went over and toured Grace Marketplace and met with the folks over there and made sure everything was good. So hats off to those folks, because those are the ones that went down and picked them up, and they did it. I mean, and they, you know, made sure they checked and made sure the rooms were there, and they got other openings, and they're trying to find. So everybody from the fire rescue staff, because they were looking for this person, because the person had a room until 5 p.m. So they went every couple hours. The supervisor from Pomona Park went out and looked, and the sheriff's office was looking and trying to find the folks so we could get them over there. So it was quite an ordeal to get that one person the services needed. But hats off to all of those folks, because they were the ones boots on the ground getting it done. So I just didn't want to leave them out.
All right, Commissioner Harvey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the water issue, my heart goes out to people like that. I mean, you're in business and trying to overcome just being in business, let alone making a profit and let alone having this happen to you. But in all fairness, I think if we're going to do anything, we send it back to staff and have them develop a plan, and a credit might need to take place. But keep in mind, we're still subsidizing the water system out of the general fund. And it's a struggle for me because, you know, the constituents I represent they're not on that water system, except for the fact that we're all county commissioners. And that's where we fall down at. So if we're going to do something, I would like to see a credit type environment. And, you know, what did it really cost you over and above? Because we might be putting the camel's nose under the tent and opening a big can of worms here that the unintended consequences might not. I'm all for helping, don't get me wrong, I do, but we really got to think this position out and come up with a meaningful type of credit that can be done based on maybe they apply for it. Maybe they go, you know what, I'm not worried about it. Part of doing business, I'll accept it. Or maybe the poor person who just, not the poor person, the business owner struggling goes, I need to apply for it. So I think we need to send it back to staff and come back to this board with a plan of action very, very soon. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Palacio, you're recognized.
I don't mean to rain on anybody's parade about the water issue, but the 35 to 40 years that I was a customer of the city of Palaco's water system, and we had a boil over or boil out or whatever you want to call it, I never got a discount. I never got a break. So I sympathize with people. I've been on that end of the stick, but just bear that in mind when you come up with any kind of figure you may come up with. Thank you, ma'am.
And that was when your family owned a restaurant?
Correct.
I see your point. I know it's tough. It's tough because I understand where Commissioner Alexander's come from. It's tough.
It truly is, and you know, we've had an onslaught of boil water notices, and the last two, I believe, were truly acts of God, lightning strike or this or that. But I hate to use the term this is on us, but a portion of this was on us, and these costs were incurred because of an issue we had with our technology. So I'm asking for y'all's support, and if you choose not to, you choose not to. So that I'm not asking for a decision today either. What I'm asking for is the opportunity to allow staff to present us with some options to provide a little bit of financial relief to those folks that they did have some negative consequences of this outage.
All right. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Will that be coming back to the board at that?
Yes, sir.
So the staff will create something and then bring it back to us for conversation and approval?
Yes, sir.
I wave in support.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
Same.
All right. Julian, do you understand the direction, or do you need clarity?
I understand.
Okay.
All right. So before I give up the mic, I want to do a quick little presentation.
I was wondering why you were sitting there.
All right, Madam Chair, can you hear me this time?
I can.
Good deal, good deal. Middle of July or so, I had a constituent contact me, and he had been in touch with me before regarding some drainage issues, Putnam County Boulevard and 3rd Avenue. And I rode out there and took a look at it, and I asked JT Stout to ride out and take a look at it with me. I didn't realize how bad the issue was until we actually took and rode out there. And I just, we talk about giving credit to folks when they do a good job, and they really did a great job on this. Here's some of the items of the pictures of while the guys were working. The sheriff's office kind of stole some of our thunder here because the majority of the labor was performed with inmate labor.
Mm-hmm.
But I have gotten such a great response from this
Wow.
community. They said that this work probably hadn't been touched in many, many years. And I'm going through the photos. I'm trying to find the before photos because we had a couple of good ones that the constituent provided for us. So this one here, you can see how the ditches were plugged, hadn't been touched in years, it's overgrown. And then you move into this one here. I mean, what a dramatic difference that is.
Mm-hmm.
These guys went out there and did that, and I have received multiple thanks. Your guys did a great job, and I just want to make sure that our folks get the recognition that they deserve when they go out in the community, because we hear nothing but bad things, but these guys work hard every day. Smokey and that group, and JT, he spearheaded this. So just wanted to make it clear that what a great job they're doing and give them thanks. A couple more photos here. I really wanted to see the one with the water covering the road. But you can see the trash on the side of the road. The fellow that sent me the information, his name's Terrence Buford. We went to school together, and he had contacted me about it, and he's like, man, is there anything you can do to help? He said, I get out here and I clean these roads, but there's only so much one person can do. I ask people to take some pride in their neighborhood, and it's hard to do when it's just one man out there working. If we can get ahead of the game, perhaps we can get some buy-in from the rest of my neighbors. So when he conveyed that message like that, I was like, yeah, let's get with JT and get the crew out there. So I really wanted to see those drink, but here's another example of what they've done. And this had been neglected for years. The ditches, the culverts. But anyhow, that is what I wanted to present to you guys, just show you what our guys are capable of doing and what they do on a day-to-day basis to make our community better. And I want to say thank you to them.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That's the end of your comments? All right, Commissioner Newbold, you're recognized.
I have a few things. First of all, Commissioner Harvey, thank you for taking on that issue in South Putnam with the homeless person. I'm glad it came out the way it did. Hopefully we'll learn enough through that process to make it stick, so to speak. A couple little odds and ends. Mayor Myers was here earlier, and she made me aware that the group of mayors in District 1, herself, Walaka, and Pomona Park have gotten with the Florida League of Cities, and the League of Cities is going to be putting on a program on September 1st at the Miller Middle School auditorium at 6 p.m., and it's going to be based around Amendment 3. So they're going to give, invite the public to come and hear the Florida League of Cities stance on Amendment 3. So it'll be a good opportunity for folks from the public to come and participate in that. And that
Date is that?
It is September 1st, 6 p.m. at the Miller Middle School auditorium. And just thanks to them for pulling that together and and making that open to the public. Another item I have, kind of following on the heels of the success of our softball, baseball tournaments, Francis Field was just kind of the star of the show during that process, but really become aware that that space is terribly cramped. We're blessed as a county to have some public property just adjacent to that field, and I'd like to kind of get a support from you guys to engage staff to look into the idea of acquiring transferring some land from, I think it's Port Authority, over into Public Works for a possible future expansion there. Not necessarily, have a time frame for expansion, but I think now's the time, because the property's available, there's no commercial activity on it. I'd like to capture a little more of that space for just future growth on Francis Field.
So I would say that we have not done a public noticing for the Port Authority Board. So I would be very cautious in doing, I guess I can lean on the attorney, but the public has not, so is that just something you want to add to the next Port Authority meeting?
That would be my suggestion.
All right, is that fine with you, Mr.?
Yeah, that's
Commissioner Bebo?
perfectly fine. Just trying to find a way to get there.
Yes, sir. I just, since we haven't advertised to the public that we were discussing Port Authority items, I would just be cautious.
Okay.
So we'll just put that on the agenda item, as an agenda item at the next Port Authority, which I believe will be in the first week in September.
Super. Thank you for
Okay.
clearing the
Right.
path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all I have. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Pelletier.
Mr. Grimes, what do we do about, or who do we talk about derelict vessels there? Primarily that big eyesore right there in East Platte and the Cove when you cross over.
Commissioners, that is a function of FWC. It has to be reported to FWC. That derelict vessel program has changed over the years multiple times. It used to be the county ran it through Parks and Recs. FWC took it back under their purview. Has to be reported to them for them to follow their due process.
Do we have a number? I'll make the call.
Oh, sure, I'll get it to you.
All right, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Wouldn't it, Madam Chair, wouldn't it be better if the Board of County Commissioners wrote a letter in support of removing these vessels and not just one commissioner?
But I think we have more than, if we were going to do that, we have more than.
Oh, there's up and down the river. I have boaters tell me about maybe 7 or 8 that they can
Let's just
talk about.
go ahead and make a blanket statement that when you find one, the board supports removing of them, and send it as a board letter.
We wouldn't, yes, we could make a blanket statement that the board supports staff engagement of FWC, then FWC has to determine whether or not
Sure.
removal is proper and
But
legal.
let's do it as a board. I agree with Commissioner Pelletier. Let's move,
We can,
If we can prioritize, though, I want to go first. It's a.
It is a process, so FWC has to go through, and they have to.
I know they want to find the proper, if they can find ownership and all that kind of stuff. I do realize that.
Is your mic on?
Then they'll assign funding. The last time they made a pass-through, they'll bring a large barge in with a crane and an excavator on it, and
Put it on there.
just grab them. But it's a large and expensive process. I worked with one of the contractors when he was here last time, and I want to say that he quoted the quote that he had provided FWC to remove a 25 to 30 foot vessel was $60,000 to $70,000.
Holy moly.
It's not a simple process, and then you have the environmental impact
Right.
of diesel, battery acid, oil. So all of that comes. It's a process. So I'm glad that we don't handle it as the county, but I agree with you. If we could create a letter requesting that we all sign and sent it in, I'm all for it.
I think it's a good idea. We'll all sign it. My sister is taking on a one-man band. She has had a homeless lady show up basically on her doorstep, and she said absolutely nothing but a shirt and a pair of pants. No shoes, no nothing, no bag, no nothing at all. And she took her to Angels and fed her, and she was taking it upon herself to find some of her kin people, wherever they may be, and she was going to buy her a bus ticket. So my sister gets a tip of the hat. Commissioner,
Wilkinson.
yeah, that's you.
Mhm.
Is it Kiwanis or Rotary does the Happy Bucks thing? Who is that does that?
Rotary.
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 Well, here's a happy buck. They have started
Who you
the
gonna give it to?
repaving of Reed Street.
Put the happy buck up there.
I'll get it. There you go. They have started the repaving of Reed Street. I was so happy, and I was in the slow lane, and I was happy being there. So I was spending my happy buck riding along slow and smooth and no bumps and all that good stuff. I think they're doing it at night, but just a reminder to everybody, be patient. It's finally happening, and it's going to be so nice when it's done. So that's it for me.
And I understand you're getting a bright blue truck?
No, I'm not.
Teal.
I'm
It was-
not. I'm getting another
It was
white
teal,
one.
wasn't it?
No,
teal?
it's not. That's a vicious lie that somebody has promoted that's not true. I'm
Oh,
getting
okay.
another white one. I'm going to pick it up after lunch here just shortly.
Okay. I thought it was going to come in and match one of your jackets or something.
No, that's not going to match my jacket. It'll match all jackets, actually, with that color.
We have to give each other grief sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so a couple of things I've got. Our community Christmas tree project is moving along. We have raised, the group has raised 20,000 out of the 38, so we've only got 18,000 left to do. For those who are listening, that will be on the courthouse lawn, and it will be lit the day before, the day after Thanksgiving, in coordination with the annual Christmas parade, and it will stay lit through New Year's, and the whole purpose of that is to bring people together downtown, bring the community together from all different corners of the county. A great tradition to start in Putnam County, and I believe the newspaper is going to be doing an article on that pretty soon, so I'm excited to see that. Don't share the video. The video I did was not very good. Anyway, they just so they're like, here, do a video, and I did not do very well, so I don't want the video to be shown. Anyway, just an article's fine. But this is a community project. It's not being funded by the county. It will be on the county property, but it is community-based, and the vision is that from the riverfront all the way down through downtown on the Lemon Street side, the ones that grew up here call it Lemon Street, the trees will be lit, the storefronts will be beautiful, and people will be shopping and eating and spending their nights from between Thanksgiving and Christmas downtown Palaca, and it becomes like a mini night of lights, or a hometown, except it has a hometown feel. It'll be more hometown and less commercial, but it'll be nice, and we could have Christmas caroling on the courthouse lawn. We could have hot chocolate. The ideas of what can be there are endless, but we have an organization that's stepped up as a 501c3 to head it up, called One Putnam. And again, we just still raising money to pay for the tree, but once we have the tree, we have it for many, many years to come. It's a one-time expense up front, but we won't have that going forward. So it's worth the investment, but the community is the ones who are supporting it. And so a little bit further to go. I've personally put money into it, and so I'm sure that other people will as well, but we'll get it past the finish line and get it up the day after Thanksgiving. So that's exciting. I did take my 4 hours of training for my canvassing board, but I still need to do my 2 hours of signature training. So by the time the general election rolls around, I should be available in all of those things. I want to ask Mr. Commando a question. Is personal cell phone subject to sunshine laws by county commissioners?
Yes. So the question of whether or not something falls within the purview of a record under the Government and Sunshine Act has nothing to do with where it's housed. It can be on a government computer cell phone. It can be on a personal computer cell phone. It's whether or not the document, electronic or otherwise, is made to memorialize or formalize knowledge of government business.
Okay, I just thought that would be a good reminder for this board. And I know, Commissioner Alexander, you didn't particularly like my line of questioning on Pico Road, and I understand that, but I feel like it's our job to hold each other accountable and to hold, I take it very seriously when we have to spend money taxpayer money on something I don't feel like we should have had to spend taxpayer money on. So I was not, my goal was not to attack you, and I hope you don't feel that way, but if you do, you do. But that, I do have some concerns about that. It's over and done with now. We'll move forward, but I just wanted to bring those comments up. And that's all I have. So with that, we'll.
If I may speak to that very quickly.
Sure.
You know, we've owned that property since 1968.
Mhm.
It has done nothing but grow weeds, collect trash, and maybe potentially a medical implant that may have been involved in a. So we have had, you know, we have an opportunity for a piece of property that we could have done something with, and I think that staff was doing their best job in their minds to provide our county and our residents with a useful park so that folks can go down there and enjoy a waterfront property that has remained derelict for, what is that? I'm not real good at math, but it sounds like about 60 years. Nobody, not my predecessors, not your predecessors, has done anything with that piece of property. And I saw an opportunity, and staff took the initiative to go down there and make it nicer. They engaged what I thought was the right people with the Water Management District to do what we needed to do. If we missed the mark, it was not the intent. But it's very easy to sit up here and just say yes or no and not have an impact. But when I see an opportunity for my community, I was elected to act and do things in the best interest of the county. And if occasionally we hit the guardrails for, you know, pushing, it was not in any way, shape, or form for anything other than making Putnam County a better place. So we could have sold that piece of property, which you can't replace a waterfront property for anywhere near close to what we could have gotten for that. And we've taken in that money at this point. Mr. Suggs was very strategically able to work with DEP, and the money that we're talking about spending could have been spent on returning that piece of property to the way it was or creating a park. So either way, we had to do a scientific study. So the result of that $25,000 is going to be spent, it could have been spent to return that piece of property to a garbage collecting weed bed, but now it's going to be applied to a scientific study that DEP has allowed us to use in moving forward with a park there. So we are going to receive a net positive gain in potentially a shorter time than we may have seen before. It wasn't my intent to circumvent any processes, nor was it staff's, but I would like to applaud Mr. Suggs for making the best out of what could have been potentially a bad situation. He did a fantastic job.
Well, I didn't know you were going to say all that, but let me just say, I don't understand how you think that it's not going to be returned to what it was, because in the letter from DEP.
You weren't there.
Okay, I wasn't there.
You weren't there for the
I
conversations.
also wasn't there for all those boat accidents you had.
Right.
That's your thing.
If I may, before we close, to go ahead and ease your minds, I would like to engage the county engineer so he might provide some insight into the path forward.
Okay,
for
because
you.
it doesn't say anything in the correspondence that we have
understand,
about
and
the
I saw
park.
that I didn't really want to get into a debate about it, but I would like for him to explain to you where we're at in this process now.
Sure.
During our meeting with DEP, they suggested that we tie it to a development of some sort, which would be a park, to show that we have a justified improvement for that area and the mitigation that was required. So tying to this is the UMAM scoring plus whatever mitigation is required, and showing some minimal development of a picnic table or a bench or something like that that shows that a park would be a justified improvement for that property.
And then we would, during that process, we will be applying for the correct
Correct.
permits that go along with it and paying for those permits.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's required to do the engineering plus the permitting, and gets us to the point that we have a permit to install small improvements, and with that, it's mitigating the damage that's been done to the wetlands.
Okay, so you feel like that those would have to be returned to what they, which I understand it's just 2 dump loads, I get it.
Right.
But you think that the wetlands will have to be returned to what they were?
I can't really say what they'll end up doing. I'm not an environmental scientist, but usually what a little bit of fill has been put in there, we may have to remove some of it. There may be some replanting involved, but I don't know that there would be a tremendous amount of mitigation tied to that. And I didn't get that sense from DEP when we were speaking with them.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right, with that, I guess anything else to come from the board? All right, this meeting is adjourned.